So we're live, and as you can see, we have some scrolling text on the screen.
Yay.
Oh, let me see.
So we're live, and as you can see, we have some
Do
scrolling.
do 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 do.
It's not going to happen. I applaud your ingenuity, sir. But,
Okay, I see now.
yeah, it's not going to happen.
So Pete says it's not going to happen, but I personally think he's going to get a Twitter eventually.
I mean, I might do it for one day on Christmas, like just to make you think that I have, and then I'll delete it the next day.
Pete, now, you like, seeing what's going on in the world. Twitter's a great place for that.
I already get enough of that through Facebook, sir.
See, but the people on Facebook are like, everyone has a Facebook. Think about it. Your mom probably has a Facebook. I bet she doesn't have a Twitter, though.
I know she
Yeah,
does.
don't you want to get away from your mom eventually? Like, come on, it's time to leave the nest.
Clever, guys. Clever.
Cut the cord, Pete.
Yeah, thing is, I don't have to have my mom on my Facebook, so it doesn't really matter that she's on it.
Okay, Caesar, most people have a Facebook. I mean, Facebook comes pre-installed on some cell phones.
On most cell phones.
Yeah. Most generally, I mean, like I would say, the majority portion of anybody who has internet access has a Facebook.
I mean, Obama phones get on Facebook. That's how bad it is.
They come pre-connected with a username and everything.
I mean, they got to keep track of you.
Of course. Why do you think they gave them out? You're starting a robot, Rambo.
Here, let me see you in the server settings where we're at.
U.S. South. I've got a nice...
You guys there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, Central. Rambo is technically Central, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
Hopefully this works.
Did y'all hear what Google is doing?
What now?
What is...
If you like, okay, first of all, like Google Drive, right? Where you
Yes.
put all your, your folders and your shit like that, the shit you're working on, whatever, because it's a free storage thing. Well, a lot of people have been like tweeting about this, but they're like in the process of writing articles or doing their homework, and they're saving it, of course, in Google Drive. Well, Google Drive is actually running some algorithm that is going into your own personal files in there, checking it for wrong thing, and locking you out of it.
Wow.
Is he roboting for you or no?
Yeah, he is.
I don't know why, man. I have like three out of 4 bars for the internet. So I mean, I'm connected to the actual internet.
And you're not
Hang on, let me...
cell service?
No, I'm running off actual Wi-Fi. Let me switch to a different one, and we will see. But that's bad.
Could lower the bitrate a little bit, too.
Me?
How am I now?
Well, you could, or I could. On the Discord
How am I now?
channel.
Oh, all right, hold on.
I already did it.
Am I better?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but I mean, Google is going into your personal files. Like you could just be like keeping a diary in there, and if it senses sensitive material, kind of like if you're like talking about like white supremacy, or if you're talking about Muslims and shit like that, it will lock you out of your fucking thing, saying that you violated the terms of service, even though you never did anything with it. You're not allowed to access it anymore.
That's fucked up.
To me, it seems like that's like a breach of privacy, because like I should be able to. I mean, I know it's their service, but I mean, as long as I'm not disseminating it, I should be able to keep whatever the fuck I want to keep in there. It's a storage thing.
So really, you're not really safe unless you're, at least as far as we know, using Notepad and a flash drive. I mean,
Pretty much.
Yeah, keeping your shit on your own personal on your own personal thing, because like these people are like going into your any kind of like they're sharing they're creating these Google Drives and Dropbox and all that shit like that in order to, I guess, be able to scan what you're actually doing, rather than, because they can't get into your actual hard drive on your PC, but if they in there they can take a look at everything that's in there.
so
I mean, and who
Brimstone
knows what
might
other
be
services
coming?
that
I'm
other
not sure.
companies are doing this with.
So is there any like gaming topic that you've ran into? I mean, I know there is the Paris gaming thing.
Yes, man, that was fucking awesome.
I even loved it, and I'm not even a PlayStation guy. I thought it was amazing.
That was an amazing fucking conference, and we got to see Sucker Punch's new fucking game, Ghost of Tsushima, whatever. I can't fucking say that.
It's the Infamous team, right?
Yes,
It's amazing. That trailer.
Man, yeah, I'm so stoked for that, and it's gonna be open world, and to play as a lone samurai, I just like that is going to be just. I just cannot wait. Did you hear the backlash from the Paris Games Week, though?
Yes, I did. I've seen several videos on it, and the people whining about violence in games, fuck you and shut up.
They said it was
the same
troubling.
whining that's been going on for decades.
Oh no!
Not like this.
No,
like
this was this was an article. Like, first of all, like, I don't know if you watched the Paris Game Show, but
I didn't
Games Week,
know.
whatever. But in there, like, they had a bunch of trailers, and they came across Detroit Become Human, and this one was about a robot called, or a android called, I think her name's Kate. I want to say Kate for some reason, but it's her story. So you're in there, and you're basically we're assigned to this dad and daughter to take care of the daughter, basically cook, clean, take care, babysit, whatever. That was your job. And the wife had died, and so the dad is like a drunken alcoholic, and is like throughout the little thing, like they're going through the little scene or whatever, and then there comes a part where he's yelling at the daughter, just like pissed off and yelling at her, and about to take off after her, going up the stairs, and he looks at the robot and says, "Stay." And this is like where like the moral decisions comes, where you where you're like, you either decide to stay and listen to him like a good robot, or you step out of character and you go save him. So like they showed both instances, like where she goes up there and saves the little girl, and what could happen, and they also show the scenario of her staying there, and by the time she gets up there, the dad's putting the little child's limp body into the bed, saying, "Daddy's not mad at you no more. Everything's gonna be okay," and she's dead. Because he beat the shit out of her and killed her. And so people were livid that they would show this at a thing at 4 p.m. in the afternoon, rather than not late at night or whatever, without any sort of trigger warning for people. And then continued on to the conference, and The Last of Us came, where a woman was being like brought in, bound, behind, like with ropes or whatever, behind her hands, behind her back, and then they picked her up and strung her up with a noose, and then another woman came up and poked a knife in her chest and her stomach, and then all hell broke loose, and they ended up killing the woman with the knife.
But not before the woman with the knife also shattered some girl's arm with a hammer.
Yeah, and so they said that PlayStation is problematic by using gratuitous violence to promote their game, and that needs to change because there's no reason why they had to show that off with no context at a game show where kids could be watching, or people that have suffered at the hands of like an abuse situation could have been watching. And I was like, what the fuck are you, like, seriously, grow the fuck up. Like, games
should we never show anything because
like,
somebody who might, you know, be not even offended, but, you know, take it personally or become, you know, frightened by it? Or, I mean, should we never show anything because somebody might, you know, be you know, irritated or whatever from it?
Well, they were complaining because there was like no Peggy warnings like before the trailers like there usually is. But at the very beginning of the fucking show, I don't know if you caught this, Brim, Shana, whenever you were when they were doing the panel, when the show very first started, it said rating pending and mature audiences.
Yes,
it didn't say anything about like that. So they basically said the show was going to contain rating pending's title and mature content.
And
so that was your trigger warning for the entire conference. Like, they didn't need to put one in front of every trailer because that was at the very beginning of the fucking show.
They were already running behind, so them putting a warning at the beginning is probably saved them a good 20 minutes throughout all the trailers, not having to put a warning there.
Oh yeah. But I'm like going.
I mean, it's a games conference. If it's not run by Nintendo, then, I mean, you should expect that there should be at least one mature game in there.
Yeah, and to me, like you should have, like, if that's what bothers you, then quit gaming or go just to Nintendo Directs and
play
you'll be good.
Mario Odyssey. Don't watch a PlayStation conference.
It's like. There was nothing wrong with the trailer, and one writer at Polygon even suggested that if that would have been white men in those scenarios, he would have been okay with it.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. Well, don't let your bias show.
But what's crazy is that, like, you want these powerful women as your leads. Like, we're tired of the cis white male. We need white, we need women.
And then they get beat with a hammer and hung, and it's a problem. I mean,
the thing is, though, is that women are the ones that actually came out and saved the woman. The woman actually ended up killing the other woman.
Yeah, the boy there just stood there. Like, he didn't do shit.
Yeah. And they actually killed the weak men that were there. They made them look like bitches or whatever. So what I'm thinking, like, going, you got the thing. Like, that would have been the same scenario would have happened with the men if men were in it, because men would have shot the men, and the man would have been hanging or whatever. So you got the exact same equality there, but now you don't like it. You can't protect the women, but then I want women to be equal. Like, it doesn't work that way. Like, if they're equal, they're equal. If they're not, they're not.
Yeah.
I love this. I was just watching a I can't remember what it was, but there was an interview with Tom Cruise about the new Mummy movie. I think it was in one of the trailers when I went into the theaters to watch a movie. But he's talking about the main bad chick. And he's like, oh yeah, she does this, and she kills her parents and their son and blah blah blah, but I still kind of like her, and they're kind of chuckling about it. And it's like, bro, if that was a dude who you were talking about, who had just murdered his parents and his little sister or something, would you be chuckling about it and saying how you still kind of like him? Of course not. But it's okay because it's a chick. But then, then there's the other side of it with this shit, where if you want girls to be represented equally as guys, well, then that means girls got to do terrible shit too, because there's guys that do terrible shit in video games and movies and books and, whatever else.
Well, it was just, there was article after article after article, and Sony came out and said, look, we support our creators. We have full faith in them, and we let them put out the trailers that they want to put out, and that's just the way it is.
For them to say there's no context to that violence, those people are not gamers because they don't know Naughty Dog. I'm sure there is a shit ton of context to that violence.
Well, the game show itself is a context.
Well, first of all, I mean, we're talking The Last of Us. I mean, it's a
And it's a sequel. You already
post-
know the foundation.
yeah, in a post-apocalyptic world, bad shit's gonna happen, like really bad shit. And that's, I mean, that it's, you're already basically have all the context you need for like to know that basically anything you're going to see in there is going to be some sort of a violent, violent trailer. I don't know. These people are just, I mean, you're talking completely snowflakey on this one. Like they just over and over again, it's all you saw through your timeline is just different articles, different from all like Eurogamers, Polygon, Kotaku, everybody was getting in on how bad Sony was by showing these trailers.
Well, of course, it's the outrage of the day.
There was no warning for those abuse victims to be able to get up and leave. I'm like, fuck you, like shit. If like you're that damn traumatized by your past, then that's on you. Like somebody else doesn't have to cater to every individual person's triggers. Like, I get that you might have been triggered, but still, that doesn't mean that somebody needs to change something so that way you feel more comfortable.
It really comes down to common decency, right? Like, we shouldn't have to really cater to everybody's shit. But at the same time, those people should know better than to go somewhere if they're easily triggered. Like, they shouldn't just throw themselves into a mix and expect everybody to cater to them. It doesn't make any sense. Why would any company do that? Why would any corporation do that? Because they don't. It's called capitalism for a reason. We're trying to make money. We're not trying to sit here and watch out for your fee-fees. You should just stay home. You shouldn't even be turning your TV on anymore either.
If you're going to be triggered by what is, I mean, essentially it's no worse than a trailer for an R-rated movie. You'd see some of the exact same things in the trailer for like Saw, or Hostel, or one of those.
You know what, Pete? Like, now that you say that, like, a part of me kind of wants to like take a group of these little fucking snowflake bitches and like tie them up, gag them, and like put toothpicks in their eyes to keep them open, and just sit them in front of the entire Saw trilogy, and just see what happens. Document and record everything. Like,
but that's the thing. If you're that triggered by something like that, then you need serious help. Like real therapeutic help.
They said that
obviously not well enough to be out in the real world.
Absolutely.
They said that the Last of Us trailer was basically torture porn. And I was like, good God, like nothing fucking even happened.
And they've obviously never seen torture porn.
The chick got her arm smashed with a hammer, and it appeared that she was also going to be hung, but she was saved.
Yeah, and then the girl that was hung was like, they said there was too much to watch her kick and flail like while.
What, she's not gonna fucking moonwalk and sing while she's hanging. What do they expect her to do?
It was just
well, that's
so
the thing.
fucking...
In order to create the emotion of the thank God this little girl was saved, something horrible has to happen to her in order to make her someone that needs saving. So how do you put saving a little girl in a trailer unless you do something horrible to her in order for her to be, her as in like as if any of these people are actually real. But the characters, I mean, there's going to be drama in the game or movie or whatever. So if you're trying to show off the game in the trailer, you have to put some of that drama into the trailer. Yeah. So there can be, something there to watch. Otherwise, it would just be a scene where all they, it's practically the ending scene where they're all just sitting around a campfire talking about, how great life is, or what, whatever. What would you do if you didn't have some sort of conflict?
So I take it this. Sorry, go ahead, Rambo.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was gonna say I don't know like what video we're talking about. I'm taking it this is Last of Us 2.
Yeah.
Well, it was both trailers, The Last of Us 2 and Detroit Become Human. And both of those like got donned, I don't know, like 15 articles each talking about how gratuitous violence, because the Detroit Become Human was about child abuse, and then the Last of Us trailer they said it was about domestic abuse, but I was like going, it wasn't really domestic abuse because they weren't related for one thing, and it was, they were upset because a woman was being hurt.
It wasn't even in a domestic environment. It was in the middle of the woods.
So I got a question then. Where were these idiots before on Last of Us 1?
Oh no, they were the same people because on Last of Us 1 when they showed the trailer for Last of Us 1 and Joel shot that guy, even though it cut to black, right, when they shot the guy. There was articles back then talking about how it was irresponsible of Sony to show gratuitous violence. And I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, like it's a video game. Like just if you're not capable of watching it and just going, oh, that's pretty cool, or no, I don't like it, then move on. Like go find some other fucking hobby.
Yeah, like seriously, go fuck yourself. Like go just leave. Yeah, I agree. That's so like
Go to a Nintendo.
I don't understand. I don't understand how come these guys don't. Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, why don't these guys like work for Nintendo or Sega and like do just like exclusive reviews for like those kind of games? Because it's obviously a thing or a problem for games like Call of Duty or Last of Us or
Yeah, how can Sony
like, these
exhibit its range of games if it's not allowed to show any violence at all?
Absolutely, yeah. So, like, if these guys have such a fucking issue with it, then why don't they just fucking stop covering them? Stop looking at them. Stop playing them.
Is Sony just supposed to do an expo with nothing but Farm Simulator and what's that RPG that's just like farming and friends and family and
Stardew Valley,
Maple Story, yeah, Maple and things like that's all they're allowed to show at a game conference is like Maple Story and Farming Simulator and games like that. Come on.
And Halo Storm, that like there is actually like one of the most ignorant approaches to this whole thing is that the people aren't worth mentioning or they're not worth. This isn't worth like bringing to light. You should just ignore them because if you ignore them, that just breeds more ignorance. Like you got to bring their ignorance to light. That's the reason why we do that is because if you just sit back and sit idly by and be quiet about it, it's just going to perpetuate even more.
Yeah, they'll keep writing them, and then more and more people will read them, and nobody's writing anything to the contrary, at least not on a big, games journalist site. So,
I mean, there was one that wrote about Wolfenstein 2, and all about how great it was, the killing Nazis and all this shit. But then a little excerpt saying that where they got it wrong was all the pro-America speeches that BJ did, and during the game that it really like detracted from the actual message of the game because. How could it be pro-America? How would this guy be pro-America whenever America is, the America before the Nazis were his racist father and stuff like that. So he's basically promoting racism. I'm like, you're stupid fuck. Like seriously, there's racist people, yes, but just being pro-America does not mean that you're like, oh yes, I love all the bad shit that happens in America. Like fuck, I mean, like they actually counted off for the game because of the pro-America stance.
Wow, Jesus fucking Christ, dude. So I mean, but this all goes down to they need to put their money where their mouth is. Just like what we used to say with me and Shane back in the day when we used to complain about Call of Duty releasing and all the issues it had. And we kept buying it. Like it was one of those things where we caught ourselves in this like weird, like circular fucking retardation. Like only way that these things are gonna stop being made is if we stop paying for it, right? Well, stop playing these fucking games if they're too violent for you, you fucking retards. Jesus Christ! Like if these things are too violent for you, why are you covering them? The last thing you should be doing is covering them because all you're going to do is bring them more attention and they're going to be making more fucking money.
Oh, but they don't care about that. That's
the best scenario for them could have been let's just ignore it, But hey,
they didn't do that. And that shows you, I mean, that's the thing. People might be hypocrites, but they aren't usually hypocrites in how they act. And I don't mean that they don't say things and then act in a hypocritical manner, but no matter what they say, they usually act in the manner that betrays their true intentions. And this just shows you right here, they don't care about the actual games and the games being there or making money. Because, yeah, like you said, if they really wanted to do everything that they could to to keep this game from, you know, from perpetuating, then they would have said nothing about it
Well, no,
and
they
wrote
they
just
wrote
like
in
a
the
shitty review.
they wrote in the
Mhm.
articles that they didn't mind the games being shown. They didn't mind the violence being shown. What they minded was that Sony didn't pause the show. Let everybody know that the next trailer is going to have some pretty graphic imagery of child abuse. If you don't want to see that, could you please, you know, at this time leave the auditorium, and then pick up right where where after everybody leaves.
That takes too
They-
much time. They lose money.
Oh, and it wouldn't just be the big things, because people would then complain, oh, well, it's got a gun in it. And then it would be, oh, well, it's got a knife in it. And,
the
oh, well,
thing is,
he's
though, is
beating
that
somebody.
that's what they were writing with this, is that Sony didn't handle it responsibly by allowing giving people the trigger warnings and letting people, you know, make the choice if they wanted to stay or not. And I'm like that. What kind of world do you live into where you think that everybody, before they have a conversation with you or whatever, has to give you some sort of trigger warning of what you might say, or you might watch, or you might see? Like, even if whenever you're watching TV, the only thing it says is mature, like for mature audiences or whatever, it'll say violence, partial nudity, but it doesn't tell you what type of violence.
Nope.
So I mean, if you're okay with violence, but you're not okay with, you know, child abuse, then what happens in that thing, that TV show where you're watching and all of a sudden there's a child being abused? That was the violence they were speaking of. Well, shit, like they never gave you the trigger warning because like they didn't tell you exactly what type of thing. So I mean, nothing gives you a trigger warning in life. So why do you think that all of a sudden a game show should?
Even in something that does, like say, you go to an R-rated movie at the theater, right? They will show you more mature trailers than a PG-13 or PG movie. You know, the trailers will not have, like, you know, they might not say fuck, but they might say like crap or shit or, you know, something like that. And they might not have full nudity in them, but they might have, like, real close, where it's just like a shadow that, you know, covers up boobs or whatever. And they do that because when you went into an R-rated movie, you agreed that you were going to be exposed to certain mature, you know, there's a list of mature themes that can be included, and you never know which ones are going to be there or not. And that's essentially what they're complaining about. They knew that not only do video games contain mature themes and graphic violence and all this other stuff, but they were, you know, Sony put out a thing that said there will be some mature games in this show. So what else did you expect them to do?
Yep.
It's just the gaming media is just like completely.
I mean, what they're doing is literally getting pissed that they bought a ticket to an R-rated movie, and while they were watching the trailers, that a trailer, you know, showed more, you know, a certain kind of violence that the movie they're going to see wasn't going to show, and they're pissed off that they weren't given a trigger warning that, you know, that specific type of violence wasn't enunciated, that it was going to be present, you know, in the trailers or whatever.
Well, I was glad to see Sony not cower down to the hate, and Sony come out and basically said, "Look, we trust our creators, man, and that's a trailer they want to show, and we're running with it, and, you know, basically, like it or love it, like it or leave it, man, fuck it." And I was like, thank God Sony's not going, okay, but we'll take that into consideration for our next show. They just said, fuck you, you know, we'll show what the fuck we want to show.
Yep. That's a private venue.
You guys, it's triggering. So I mean, is it so? What have you guys covered so far?
Basically that, and then Google's going into your files in Google Drive and locking you out of content.
Oh, I heard about that. Ain't that some shit?
If you're guilty of wrongthink.
Isn't that fucking crazy now? Like, I remember
it seems like it should be illegal.
Yeah, that's what you would think, but see, it's their business. That's the thing. I mean, It's the thing that they make
Yeah,
you
but we
sign,
don't allow
you
it
know
with
what I mean?
anything else.
Right.
You know,
No, I
we don't
agree.
allow phone companies to monitor your conversations. We don't really allow the internet service providers to monitor everything you visit.
Fair enough.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah, there's certain expectations of privacy and security, especially when you're talking about like a bank. If they rented you a safe deposit box, they're not allowed to go into that safe deposit box and check to make sure that you haven't put anything illegal in there. That's not on them. That's on you. They just rent you the space.
Yeah.
With the Google Drive, it should be no different. I mean, everybody's personally responsible for whatever's on there. If there could be anything illegal, I don't really see how, unless it was literally like a plan to go kill a bunch of people or something. But other than that, I don't see how anybody could have anything illegal on Google Drive.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
know.
I think they're trying to eliminate the spread of piracy, right? Like, I think that was like their
No,
number one thing. No,
they're trying to eliminate the spread of the white supremacy.
what?
They're really, yeah,
So
really,
they're it's really mainly all about wrongthink. It's not about any kind of thing about piracy. Like,
I mean,
they're
they
going in
use-
there to check to see if, like, you're basically creating flyers for the next, white supremacist march and shit like that. So,
But they'll use it for whatever they want. I mean, if you
Yeah.
like Milo, they'll probably put you on a list, or if you follow any quote unquote alt-right websites, like Breitbart or Drudge Report or anything like that.
Yo, what's wrong with these people, bro?
They got cocky.
seriously, this
They've
is
got
Google we're
they've got
talking
the
about, man.
they've
Like,
got the biggest market share of some of these things, and they think they can control people because of that.
dude, they're going to fucking kill their own shit off pretty soon if they're not careful, dude.
It's what everybody keeps saying.
Well, I mean, it's kind of something that I think I've always stated. Like, if Google was to ever really like suffer anything, it'll be at their own hands. Just like with Blizzard, they're so big that like the only thing that's gonna really knock them off their own pedestal is them.
Yeah.
So I mean, if people see this shit, they're gonna be like, "Yeah, well, maybe we stop using Google Drive." And aren't those services kind of going away anyways? Like, didn't
Google
say
Drive's
something?
not.
No.
Oh, because I heard Google Docs was like going bye-bye, wasn't it?
No, Google Docs is still there.
What the hell if Google was going away? What was it that was like disappearing? There was something that was disappearing. I just
Hopefully
can't
Google
remember.
Plus.
Yeah, right. I think they have been talking about getting rid of Google Plus, though.
Yeah.
But like, did you watch the Paris Games Week, Brim?
No, I haven't.
Oh.
Not yet.
They showed off a hell of a lot of good, like 7 new titles. And well, of course, I mean, they were indie, so I mean, they weren't like, well, no, one was AAA and then the rest were indie, but
Yeah.
From the start to the finish, it was about like maybe a little over 2 hours, because they did the pre-show and then the actual conference, and it was just like game after game after game after game.
Probably not that long of trailers, though, right?
No, I mean, not really. I mean, some of them were pretty long. Some of them weren't. There's a game
But
called
if they did everything in 2 hours along with the pre-show and all that, I mean, they must have probably like what, half an hour solid of like trailers.
I don't know.
No, I mean, there was like barely any talking at all.
Huh.
Like, Sony's not big into the talking thing anymore. They just basically, they'll come out and talk for a
Which
minute,
is actually
and
a
then,
good thing. That's kind
and
of
then just like trailer after trailer after trailer.
I watched it.
And I mean, there's one game that came out that they're showing, it's supposed to be coming out sometime next year, called Concrete Genie. That one actually looks like a pretty good one. It has a pretty good, powerful story too. The little kid is getting bullied or whatever, and he ends up finding a magic brush or whatever and getting to paint the town with his imagination and stuff. So that actually looks like a pretty good one. But the one that I was really most excited about was Sucker Punch's game, man.
Yeah, the people from Infamous always outdo themselves, so you know that's going to be a good title.
And for some reason, like, I don't know, the devs at Sony, and maybe you know, I'm not saying that the Xbox devs couldn't do it. I've never seen them do it because they're always stuck on just one title. But they seem to be able to create some of the year's most beautiful games, or this generation's most beautiful games, like Horizon Zero Dawn, Uncharted 4. I mean, all these things, like they have just
They got the chops.
they have. I mean, they have a way of doing their shit. And Infamous Second Son was wonderful as far as the graphics wise goes, and this thing picks up like right where like that left off as far as graphics go, because I mean that thing looked beautiful.
Yeah.
Infamous Second Son was a gorgeous game. I have it.
Yeah.
I didn't play it, but I watched Brent stream it for days. I mean, the game looks fantastic.
Oh, it is, man. Like the graphics are just like impeccable, and they and that was with like the base PS4. Like for some reason, like they just know what they, I guess, worked together and you know been a team for so long that they all know how to work off of each other's strengths, and whatever it takes. Like I mean, they can make a game. To me, their games look better than, you know, The Witcher in 4K, or the Shadow of War in 4K or whatever. It just, like, for some reason, the extra textures and the extra shit in Shadow of War, or the extra textures and extra shit in The Witcher, somehow don't compare to like the base fucking PS4 with the first party title, because like they know all the secrets about that damn system.
Well,
I'm not saying secret sauce by any means. I'm saying they know the ins and outs of how to get the most out of it.
They're better at coding at the system than a lot of other developers.
Yes, I mean,
so their best is, it might only be a tiny bit better, but it is still better than the best of, say, another studio.
But just a third party, because I'm like, a third party are just there to get the game out. I mean, they're not really there to try to extrapolate every little thing they can from each system.
They certainly don't have the same time that a lot of first-party studios have.
Yeah, because I mean, they're creating it for two or three different platforms, maybe even 4 sometimes with the switch around. So I mean, they have to make it run as best as it can across a bunch of platforms, whereas the first party has more time to really delve into it. And it's weird, but I mean, like, you don't really see so much that same avenue from like the Xbox first party, and I don't think it's because they can't do it, but like a lot of their games, almost every one of their games, is so multiplayer focused that the single player portion of it seems to get like it looks decent, but it's not like a wow moment.
Did we not just talk about Rise on Twitter today?
That's not first party though.
It's an exclusive.
Well, yeah,
or was.
Well, yeah. What I'm saying is that I believe we're talking about first party.
First party studios is what he's saying.
Yeah.
So
the
Microsoft Studios is what you're saying, basically.
Right. The Microsoft Studios, like 343 and
Gears and the
yeah, like they probably have what it takes to create like a really like full on beautiful ass game, but since a lot of their focus ends up being on the multiplayer aspect, they don't really get to me. They don't get to show it up because like they're more concerned with making sure the multiplayer runs smoothly and effectively rather than like taking like the system to the next level as far as like the graphics go and stuff like that from them. So I would love to see like them allow the freedom within like 343 or Coalition, or I guess they did with Rare, but Rare, I don't know what they did with Rare because Rare's making that Sea of Thieves. So I'm not sure if that's what they wanted to, or that it was a multiplayer title. But I would love to see what they would be able to do given the freedom to create a full-on single-player IP. Because I bet that like they could take something and make it just look amazing.
Not have to worry about netcode or lagging or frame rate when there's 12 people on the map or whatever.
Well, you can tell. I mean,
a good game with good mechanics, but really concentrate on the visuals and the experience and the rest that you don't get to.
You can always tell whenever a game comes out that has single player and multiplayer where the focus was on the game.
Sure.
And
sometimes it's single player, but often it's multiplayer.
Yeah, like with you have Uncharted 4 that has like it's kind of like everybody kind of agrees that the multiplayer end is kind of like
Same thing with Doom 3.
The single player
Doom
is like
multiplayer was nothing.
the single player is so like beautiful and stuff, and like where like Microsoft titles are different. The single players are like, huh. I mean, they look decent enough, but then the multiplayer is like really where they shine. And so I'd like to see what like the Microsoft devs could do with the single player title.
I agree with that. I want to see like I want to see Microsoft devs do good. Like I want to see them kind of branch out and stop doing the traditional shit. Try to take some risks, you know.
Yeah.
And
I enjoy the first party shit.
Yeah, so do I. I'm just saying, like I want to see more stuff out of them. Is all I'm saying. Like we know they can make an awesome Gears and an awesome Halo and an awesome Forza. I mean, we know this. Now I want to see them do something different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want to see like, you know, different things in general. I actually want to see Super Lucky Tales. I want to see how that game is.
Well, hell, with Coalition, when in 2013 I think it was, or 2014, instead of showing a Gears trailer, they showed a unnamed project, and it was a new game that they were working on, and they showed a little bit of a trailer of it, like I guess what they had built so far.
Yeah.
And that was thrown away. It was scrapped. They were given Gears and said, "You're doing Gears." And so it's like, whatever happened to that title? Like, why not let them, instead of pumping out Gears 5 next fucking year or whatever, pump out that extra game, whatever.
Hey, no, I'm waiting for Gears 5.
Well, I mean, it just like I'm sorry, but like the one thing that puts me off about Microsoft's first party is that it's like a given, you know, like the only thing you're basically going to get is a Halo, Forza, Gears, Halo, Forza, Gears, Halo, Forza, Gears. Like
I get that, yeah.
That's the only thing that they put out first party in quite some time, and it's like fucking boring at this point. Like you can only handle so much Halo and so much Gears and so much Forza before.
But if you go into being an Xbox gamer expecting that, it's a lot different. Like I went into being an Xbox.
Well, but they're
gamer,
already getting it.
Yeah, I understand that, but I went into being an Xbox gamer expecting Halo, Gears, Forza all the time, and anything else I got was like, oh hell yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
no, but it would be nice to see them branch out a little and work their magic on some other styles of
the
game.
only thing they haven't. Okay, let's put it this way: Microsoft first party hasn't put out a must-have title, like a must-have IP and brand new IP since Gears, back in 2005, I think, 2006.
Yeah,
A while ago.
Let that sink in.
Yeah.
Sony first party, this generation has already created now probably two new IPs that's going to carry over into the next generation. Last generation, they had Uncharted. It carried over to this generation. They had Infamous carried over to this generation. But like Microsoft hasn't created one to carry over to the next, even to the Xbox One. Well, I guess they carried over Gears.
Except for Gears.
Yeah, they haven't
the
created
Halo and the Forza
they
already.
Haven't created anything new besides, and I guess now maybe Sea of Thieves might be it, just depending on how well it does. But if it doesn't do well, then I mean, who knows what Rare is going to do at this point, you know? But I would love to see them actually create like a Rise. Like that would be nice. I would love to see what they would be able to do, because like let's be honest. Like if you take Rise, made by a third-party company or second-party company, and you know, made exclusive, imagine what like the first party, the one that actually spends every moment on that fucking system, and within their network, within their everything, they know that thing in and out. Imagine what they could have made Rise look like.
Halo Storm wants to tell you exactly what happened to that Coalition title, just so you know.
I don't know where, like what. Okay, what do you want to? What happens to the Coalition title?
I'll wait for him to read my comment.
Which fucking comment? Like you talk,
I know.
You talk more than a high school girl, so I don't know which one.
Oh god.
Which one are you talking about? Like
The-
the Rainbow.
yeah.
Let me tell you what exactly happened. I'll wait for him to read my comment. Okay, so
That's what he's talking about. Is
Yeah,
he-
we read what you said. What are you? What
so
are
now,
you-
yeah, now tell us
so
what
now
happened.
what are you trying to say, bruh?
Because I mean, I would
Uh,
love to know.
silliness.
And the thing is, it was that like people are the Xbox guys. Let's just put it this way: they're saying, well, Sony's showing titles that are coming out in 2018, 2019, 2020, and I'm like, but the thing is, though, is that we have a roadmap. Like we have something to be excited for, knowing that in these next 3 years, there's plenty of games and great-looking games
And fresh titles.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I said,
Not
with,
just
like,
not just a guaranteed Forza Gears Halo, but new
You know-
titles that are that at least give the chance of being interesting.
but
beyond,
Xbox's
yeah.
like
roadmap
Scalebound was going to be?
well, Xbox's roadmap takes us to the spring of 2018, and then we're done. Like we have no idea what's coming after spring of 2018.
No word either way whether it's
Yeah.
going to be some new stuff or just more of the same.
Hopefully it's some new
That's-
stuff then.
Hopefully, but we don't know
It'd
yet.
be
so
nice, but I mean, the thing is, though,
That's
is
the thing. If they knew that it was going to be, why wouldn't they have told us already?
but the thing is, if it's a new thing, it would have to be by a second party,
Why is that?
and that's because they only have well, I mean, if you count Mojang, 5 studios, 3 of which do Halo, Gears, Forza. The 4th one is doing Sea of Thieves, and then you have the 5th one doing Minecraft. So there's no first party title coming out that's going to be a brand new title.
Well, I mean, you're making a very, very educated guess, but you never know.
Well, yeah, I mean, I never know, but
It's a pretty educated guess, though.
I mean, it's a pretty safe bet. I mean, we already know that 343 is working on another Halo.
They're working on a
we
couple,
don't-
from what I understand.
Yeah, they're working on the VR version that's supposed to come out later this year, and then they're going to be working on Halo 6. But we don't know when. I mean, we already know that is definitely going to be a Halo game from 343. Gears, I'm sure they're working on Gears 5. And dear God, I mean, Turn 10 doesn't do anything besides Forza Motorsport.
Hold on, wait. 2 things real quick. I forgot. I just looked at the time. Less than 24 hours, and Brimstone and I will be playing Call of Duty World War II. So, yay. Anyways,
Yeah, boy.
who just got the alert from RXL uploading a video? Nate's mental meltdown when a pig goes ham. Holy fuck, that title, man.
Oh god, did he re-upload like one of Nate's old videos where he screams and yells?
I don't know. I'm hosting this thing, so I'm not gonna click on it in case it's that horrible. So,
I have a feeling it is. Knowing RXL.
anyways, there you go. So yeah, they're
Well,
working on a couple Halos, right? The augmented reality VR.
Yeah, they're
Deal.
putting that one out first, and then they're doing Halo 6.
Which, to be honest with you, as much of a Halo fan I am, dude, I'm not looking forward to that.
Me
I
neither.
really.
I don't know how. I mean, I'm augmented reality is not something that I really feel like is a good gaming sphere.
No.
I think virtual reality is definitely going to be more
Yeah,
immersive
it's a
than
mixed
augmented.
reality Halo, meaning augmented and virtual, right?
Well, yeah, I'm assuming. I don't know if mixed reality is just their fancy way of saying augmented or their fancy way of saying virtual. We haven't actually seen anything running with it, so I'm not really sure. I mean, the only thing they've ever shown off is some sort of augmented thing. So I think that's the reason why we all kind of just go to
Yeah.
augmented thing. But
That doesn't upset me though that they're working on that yet. Anyways, it will if it takes time and like pieces and bits away from Halo 6. If it fucks with Halo 6, then I'm gonna be mad.
it would have to take time and step away from them, because if they're not working on any other game right now besides the Halo augmented reality, then that means that it's putting off time from working on Halo 6.
But not, well, yeah, actually a while ago, I think it was almost a year now, 343 was hiring. Remember, there was this screenshot of that floating around? So maybe they have a whole new team doing the virtual augmented whatever Halo.
I haven't seen there hasn't been anything inside the Microsoft's financials that shows of any hiring of any additional people. I mean, I don't. I mean, I'm just going off of what we know. I mean, obviously there's. But I mean, it's just I'm so fucking tired of Halo. I'm so fucking tired of Gears and Forza.
How
It's like
many of those
give me
games-
something new.
How many of those games have you finished, Rambo? And I'm not talking about 100%. Just going through the story, even on an easy difficulty.
Gears I played through back whenever a while back. You know, back whenever like my son had a 360.
But how many did you play? Did you play all of them?
Yeah, I didn't play Judgment, but I played the 1 through 3.
Dude, those stories though,
and-
they get you. The gameplay might not be the best compared to like Uncharted and stuff like that, but those stories are hook, line, and sinker. At least to me.
I don't know. I didn't like that. I don't. They're good stories, but I don't. They're not memorable.
Really?
Yeah, like I could give a shit less about anybody in Gears. Like I don't give a shit. Like they could kill off the whole fucking cast and create a new like Gears 5 and a whole new cast, and I'm like, okay, it wouldn't bother me at all. Like that. Like I'm not connected to any of those people.
Well, then it's just not your jam then.
Yeah.
I mean,
And well, I mean but that's the thing though, is like that's all that they put out. Like they don't put out anything else. Like if you buy an Xbox, if you're looking like first party, the only thing that you're gonna get first party is Halo, Gears, and Forza, and then whatever random thing that Rare decides to do. And that's the problem to me. Like there's never a change up with them, and they keep acquiring not acquiring studios, but acquiring IPs. Like the State of Decay 2, the Crackdown 3. They instead of buying the fucking studios to actually continue making these games, they buy the fucking IP, and then the studio's free to do whatever the hell they want to do. Like, why buy the IP if you're not going to buy the studio with it? Let the studio be the one that now instead of Halo, Gears, and Forza, you're going to get Halo, Gears, Forza, Crackdown, State of Decay, Cuphead. I mean, you're going to get a wide variety, but they just keep buying fucking IPs. They already have 1 million IPs, but they only have 4 studios to do it.
I know, and they're sitting on those IPs, and you know
Well,
as well as I do, Rambo. In this industry, you never know.
Never know what.
What's to come. Like, shit just pops out of nowhere. Like, a month ago, we didn't know about a Razer smartphone. 2 weeks ago, there was a leak, and now it was announced.
But the thing is, the last time I was surprised by Microsoft was when they first entered the gaming sphere. Like they don't surprise people. Like the only surprise would be like the third party deals, like the PUBG coming there first, or the Rise of the Tomb Raider coming there first. Like that type of those are the only surprises you get from Xbox. Like you don't get any surprises in their first party. Like for instance, Sony, like you have like the Killzone dev making an RPG. Like that never would have crossed your mind. That was a big surprise. It ended up being a huge hit. Now you have the Infamous devs. That's all they've created is Infamous, creating a feudal Japan samurai game. Like you have surprises there, whereas you don't have that with Xbox.
I think what it is that Sony, I shouldn't say Sony is the company, because Sony hardware-wise doesn't take many chances, in my opinion. But the devs and stuff, like their studios, they're not afraid to take chances because they know Sony is going to back them. And their chances tend to pan out. Microsoft, on the other hand, they don't... You don't see too many chances. Like if Phil Spencer doesn't think it's going to work, then I don't believe that it even sees the light of day.
No, because Microsoft has like a one and done policy. Like if you don't make a hit the first time, it's done. It seems. I mean, I don't know that this is a policy, but that's what it definitely looks like. Because if you like a Rise comes out,
I was gonna say no. I was gonna say like I kind of agree with you. That's kind of like how it is. Because
it seems like that you have to put out a blockbuster or you're done. Like that's it. That's just it. And that's a really like to me a bad like it. To me, it doesn't set well because I mean, if you look at Uncharted, the first game was not critically acclaimed. It was not. I mean, there was a lot of people that didn't even like the first Uncharted. Second Uncharted came out. It was the game of the year, and it was like everybody still holds like that one dear. the thing is, though, is Sony allowed that. Like, sure, the first one was kind of like, okay, maybe a flop, but that's like, we'll give you another one. Go ahead and try one more. And it turned out to
your
be
mistakes. Do it better this
yeah.
time.
It turned out to be like a one of like the most popular one of the most popular series on PlayStation. And then you have like Xbox. You put out a game, and if it's not a critically acclaimed hit right off the bat or sells millions and millions of copies, they're like, okay, we're no more of that shit.
Well, I guess Xbox
It's so frustrating
for me and the people I know.
Oh yeah,
Because like we're more, and I'm not saying you're not or PlayStation guys aren't, but at least me and the people I know were pretty chill and very open-minded. So like me saying like you never know what's going to happen, like I really believe that. And I'm not saying that you're not like that and PlayStation guys are not like that.
I think you, instead of open-minded, you mean optimistic.
There you go. All right.
Okay, so because I don't know any like too many Xbox gamers that are open-minded because they
I don't
when
mean
it comes
crap
to
gamers, Zaire, Mooch, Tim
yeah,
Dog,
I mean, well, because the ones I talk to on Twitter are like, whenever it comes to like anything outside of Halo and Gears and Forza, they're like, no, we don't want it.
the ones you talk to on Twitter needs to step their fucking game up because they don't play their shit. All they do is argue on Twitter, and I believe in the last week or so, I've shown the people that follow me that exact point.
Oh yeah, the thing is that I mean, what's sad is that I argue just as much as what they do on Twitter, but I still have like a higher gamer score and higher trophy count than all of them put together.
Well, that's what I was just gonna say, Rambo.
Like so, I mean, I actually can game.
Well, you put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah.
And these people don't do that. They like to run their fucking cocksuckers, and they leave it at. And it's one of those things where, like, you and Shane, like, a lot of what you guys do is you leave your bullshit at the door and you show with results. You know what I mean?
Yep.
They don't show with results. They would rather just run their fucking cocksuckers and act and blow themselves up, blow their egos up, and super inflate everything they say and do in their lives just to make themselves seem more important than they really are. And that's pretty much what they do here.
They take into account like their follower count and their subscriber count and their views and shit like that, rather than actually their merits. From back what behind what they're saying, and that just irritates me. Like if you're gonna talk a good game, then back it up with being a fucking gamer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I would even like let more of the fanboy shit slide if you can prove to me that you're a fucking gamer.
Instead of saying you're a gamer and you don't really actually touch your fucking title.
And Halo, I'm not anti-Xbox at all. Like I have a desire for a certain style of game, and Xbox does not deliver for that. And they just simply will not ever deliver for that.
Here's something I bet you a lot of you don't know about Rambo. And I can vouch for this because I've been on my Xbox. Well, I'm usually on it a lot, but I've been on it even more lately. Rambo's on the Xbox mobile app. More than 90% of these Xbox fanboys are on their console. Every time I turn my shit on, Rambo's Corner, Xbox app. So I don't want to hear he's anti-Xbox.
Yeah, it's like I don't.
I mean, he talks shit sometimes, but you know what?
I just
Sony too, so it's not that.
I just fuck around with people like because I know that I'll put out a tweet and it'll like
it'll hurt some fifis.
Yeah, so like I just do it. Like I troll everyone. So, but I don't hate any of these companies or against any of them. I'm actually happy that these people are that Microsoft even came into the damn business because it put Sony on notice at that time.
Jay Caesar, if you want in, you got to get into a lobby so we'll pull you up, dude.
Oh, Grim, I didn't tell you about the commercial I saw. I was watching the World Series because it was Game 7. It was something to do. During the World Series, Nintendo had a commercial. It did feature Mario in it. Not Mario the game, just him jumping up doing his Mario shit. But the commercial was for a fucking Barbie game.
What?
Yes. The World Series, for those of you that don't know, and I'm sure you do, is like the Super Bowl of baseball. So thousands and millions of people watch this fucking baseball game. You're going to put an ad in there for a Barbie game? Really?
Yeah,
that's retarded. And Mario was in it, of all fucking things. Jumping up going, woohoo! And then you see fucking Mario. Or Barbie. Whatever.
Mario Barbie?
Yeah, they're both the same thing. One's got tits and the other's a short little Italian plumber. Same thing.
Well, have y'all seen the like? I know we talked about the Xbox One X ad, which still to me puzzles me, like what they were coming across with that. But have you seen the what everybody's freaking out about, like all these Xbox guys, the startup screen for the Xbox One X?
No.
It just simply shows like the API, the little square, and it goes into like a little thing, and then basically your green Xbox screen. And I'm like going, y'all are really freaking out about this. Like this is some sort of big, huge thing, a fucking startup screen. Like just, do you even fucking pay attention to your startup screen whenever it loads up for the first time?
Most of the time I get up and get a cigarette or something and drink while my console's starting up. I don't even...
Yeah, like I don't pay attention. I don't sit there and going, oh man, what is it going to look like? I just simply, like, if I, like, very first time I plug it in, I'll turn it on and I'll walk out because it's got to do all the stupid, like, 3 minutes worth of trying to get turned on.
Same with my PC. When I turn that on, I walk away. I use the bathroom.
I ain't got time to sit around and wait on, like, to watch the screen. Like, I don't know. I've never really cared about that, but, like, it's funny that they're freaking out about how great that is. And I'm like, dude, it's a startup screen like that you're going to see basically one time, because if you put it in hibernation mode, then you'll never see that startup screen again.
Dude, can't we just go back to like last generation where like the Sony dudes were like the fucking crazies and the Xbox dudes were the logical ones? Like,
let's go back to the PS2 Xbox gen, because back then it seemed like everybody was kind of normal.
They were just playing their fucking games.
Yeah.
So I just saw that on Twitter from Major Nelson. The whole where it shows the CPU and the motherboard and the blue shit flies off of it, and then it's your standard Xbox One screen.
Are you excited?
Did that
get you pumped?
I mean, it's kind of like cool, but I'm not gonna go, talk shit about it.
Jay Caesar, are you Metal Gear Ops?
Yes, he is.
Oh, okay.
It's just so, like, what they're going crazy for is just so damn weird, and I don't know, like Halo Storm. I'm not sure, like, why you like Dobby Potter, I guess, replied to Tim Dog or somebody or whatever, and everybody knows my thoughts on Dobby Potter.
I have to look this guy up because I hear you bring him up. I don't even know who he is.
Bro, he's actually a pretty decent size. He's a decent sized YouTuber, actually.
Dobby Potter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sadly. But let me turn him down real quick so that way I'm not blowing my ears out.
Yeah.
Whenever he replied to Tim Dog or Underachiever, somebody like that, and I was like, my response was, I don't know why y'all even take anybody takes Dobby Potter seriously at this point, because like I said, as far as like the PlayStation community goes, he's kind of just like the laughing stock of us. Like, we just kind of make jokes about him. Yeah. And Halo's like, well, don't act like it's just one. Like what? What the fuck are you talking about? And so now, like, he's been sending me screenshots of like in people's like live stream chats of a PlayStation gamer going in there, I guess, being salty about the like talking shit. And I'm like going, dude, nobody ever said there was just one. I already know. Obviously, there's PlayStation trolls. I don't understand. Like, he's so stuck on this numbers game. Like, I got to point out a tit for tat, this whataboutism. Well, what about this one?
Wait,
what about this one? What
who's
about
denying
this one?
what they said? Are you talking about Brambo? He's saying he can't argue with someone that ignorant. Is he talking about you?
Yeah, apparently he is. But I mean, I'm gonna actually pull up the tweet strand right now, and we'll talk about the ignorance. If you want to. I deal with enough of y'all fuckers all day. I mean, it was like, because I didn't even understand like what the hell he's like, don't act like there's just one. I was like, what the fuck are you even talking about? Like, I never even mentioned anything about it's just one guy. It just kind of threw me off.
You know what's funny is Dobby Potter started off as a fucking troll.
Yeah, that's all he is a fucking troll, and now he's latched onto PlayStation.
Well, no, like it's not common for trolls to actually blow up here on this platform. That's why I thought it was kind of weird. I was like, wait, why does this guy have so many subs? Like, I remember when this guy came around the scene, like, this guy didn't do shit. All he did was troll people. He fucked with people.
Yeah, here's the thing. Like, Halo Storm sends me a tweet, says, Rainbow's Corner, oh, look, another one. It's a screenshot of at Xbox saying, True Power is just 7 days away. Are you ready? Pre-order. And then Dobby says, $500 plus tax for a Netflix machine. Laugh at my ass off. No quality exclusive games. Ha, ha, ha. And that's the screenshot of that. And I said, my exact reply was, I don't know why anyone pays attention to Dobby Potter. And then his reply to me was like, you act like he's the only one. I was like, what? How did my tweet? I said, huh? You said you are a special one. He says, stop playing dumb like he's the only one you've seen. I said, when the fuck have I said that or implied that? And then he said plenty of times. He's stuck on these conversations that we've had, like, on here where he keeps on, remember whenever he was pulling up, well, what about this guy? And what about the Tomb Raider thing? And what about the, and he's like, somehow you're so, I guess, mind fucked by this whole thing that you can't understand that we've clearly said that there's PlayStation trolls. But whenever you're you can point out several. If you're going to an Xbox only stream, you're going to find PlayStation trolls in there. If you're going to a PlayStation only stream, you're going to find Xbox trolls in there. I'm not talking about these people. I'm talking about we're talking about the toxic ones that were actually toxic. And yes, Dobby Potter is a fucking toxic one, but he's just like what Brim said, he's just a fucking toxic troll that just happened to I guess latch onto PlayStation for some reason. But
kind of weird. Yeah, it's a little strange.
He's just he's fucking annoying, and I've called him out several times about his stupid shit with his his roadmap thing. He has all these games listed for PlayStation, and on Xbox he only has 3 games. But he's missing like Sea of Thieves. He's missing I think it was State of Decay. I think he's missing Super Lucky's Tale. But his reasoning is, well, nobody's going to care about those games. Well, dude, if you're making a list of games that are, on the PlayStation side and games that are on the Xbox side, you got to include them all. Like, you can't be selective in your list, because at that point you're not putting out correct information. Yes, Halo. Nobody's saying that you haven't. Jesus Christ, like, you're like mind fucked with this shit. Like, clearly there's PlayStation people that are just as bad as the Xbox guys. But what I'm saying is that whenever you see the side, like, if you go to like the Xbox side and you see their biggest trolls, the Crap Gamer, the Colts, the Dealer Gaming, the D-Batch, and the BGST, and all that, like Zaire, they are all pretty high up there in subscriber account. You go to the PlayStation side, and it's basically the PlayStation Legion and their little followers, but like Dobby Potter and all them. But you go to them, and they're stuck like at 7,000. I think, what's it called? JTech has the highest sub count of all of them.
And that's all hate subs.
Yeah, all the PlayStation trolls, to like the toxic ones. That I guess that he's the highest subscriber count. So they're not as well recognized in the PlayStation side. And if you go to the ones,
it makes sense because, I mean, the Xbox is a lot more popular than it was a while ago, and YouTube is a lot more popular than it was a while ago. It's right now it's just numbers.
And I'm in no way saying that PlayStation's like absent of like toxic people. I mean, shit, toxicity is in everything.
Just bigger toxic people is what he's saying.
Yeah.
As in subscriber counts.
As I've said a long time ago, right now the numbers are favoring the Xbox idiots. In 6 months, it might be the PC guys or the Switch dudes with their pedo box. Who knows, right?
Well, hell, if you go like to the next generation, it could just be the right reverse, and it'd be the same way. Right now, as it stands right now, that's what it is. But
I can hear Metro screaming in his mic right now for some reason.
I just don't know why like Halo is so caught up with.
He does this every time, bro. We just need to start ignoring it.
Well, I mean, now he's starting to tweet me like screenshots of every fucking person that he comes across that is trolling inside somebody's comments or trolling in their replies. I'm like, I don't care. Like, I obviously know that they're out there, but half of them have me blocked because they can't stand me. I barely see the PlayStation guys, like the ones that do it, because almost every one of them have me blocked because I've called them out.
Yeah, I like how people are blocking you for that. I find that amazing.
I get blocked. I'm blocked by people that I've never even, like on the Xbox side, I'm blocked by people I've never even fucking even heard of or talked to or whatever. I just see them in a comment thread and I can't, like, the conversation doesn't make sense. So I'll click on the person's name and sure enough, I'm blocked. I'm like, who the hell are you? Like, I don't even know who you are.
Cyrus, Halo, in all seriousness, you kind of dig Rambo, right?
I don't know. It's weird that, like, I think like the Xbox guys have some sort of like block list like the SJWs do in the political side, and they just go down the list and start blocking me. It's just weird how many people I've been blocked by that I've never talked to or even heard of.
Man, I don't know.
What can you do? I don't know. What can you do?
Let's see.
So Caesar,
there's also some Nintendo fanboys, that were also pretty crazy.
Well, yeah, Metro. I mean, he's a lunatic.
Well, I mean, some autism comes with that. He flaps his arms when he gets angry. I mean,
man, am I gonna have to deal with some autistic fucking screeching when I get upstairs?
Yeah, you are.
Bro, you probably are. I mean,
Well,
I'm telling you, the Nintendo people, like, they just worry me, like the Nintendo fanboys, because, like, what if I was to take my kids trick-or-treating to a Nintendo fanboy's house? Like, that is wrong on so many fucking levels.
No,
well, not as wrong as the tweet you put out. Well, you got, I'm out here taking my kids trick-or-treating. You got to watch what these people give your kids, because they almost gave my kid an Xbox One. What the fuck, man?
That one actually ended up being like liked and stuff by even the Xbox fanboys. So they were like, that was like top level. They said top level trolling or whatever. It was just funny. Yeah, I was sitting in the car, freezing because I was driving the car up and down, while my wife and stuff was walking with the baby, and I was like, well, shit, I'm gonna put this out just to fuck with some people on Halloween.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of which, how's everyone's Halloween?
It was all right. I stayed home and streamed with Geek Essentials. Yeah, we didn't really. I mean, he went out and went trick or treating with his kids.
Cool.
I just stayed in. I didn't.
Yeah, Brim was invited, but he didn't want to go get free candy.
Excuse me, sir, but they don't have my costume, so I can't do it.
All I wore was a Batman mask with a Batman shirt, and oh yeah, I kind of dressed up, I guess. Never
Bro,
mind.
I want you guys to picture this. Like, all he wore was a Batman mask and a Batman shirt.
I had pants on too. They were Batman pajamas. It all. I was like if Batman just tripped the guy running away with the purse, because I'm, kind of crooked. So fuck patrol in Gotham. I wait for danger to come my way and trip it.
I was upset to see the low turnout with Halloween. It just keeps getting littler and littler every.
It's because
every year
the Jehovah's Witnesses and no one fucking decorates anymore.
Well, I'm just wondering, is the lack of decorations because of financial constraints, or just people just getting to the point of saying I'm tired of doing the same shit every year?
I think it's mostly financial stuff.
Or is it this PC culture that's forcing people to, I don't want to offend anybody, so I'll just, rather than trying to figure out and decorate my house appropriate, I'd rather just not deal with it.
Blame Jehovah's Witnesses. It's easy.
Well, fuck their feelings. But, in my cases, I just don't want to bother with the decorations.
Well, just,
unless I have kids of my own, but till then, it's like whatever.
Well, it makes me wonder, because my granddaughter, this was her first Halloween, and to see the number of houses that had the porch lights on compared to last year is drastically cut. I would say it cut more than half. And so I mean, it just makes me wonder. By the time as she's growing up,
Halloween.
is she going to get to the point to where she's not even going to get to actually enjoy Halloween because everybody's going to have their porch lights off? It's just, I mean, I remember as a kid, I mean, we'd be gone for hours, like up and down the street.
Oh yeah, dude.
You know,
We'd
and
fill
never-
the big
you would-
pillowcase, not the small one, but the big one. We'd get it to the fucking brim
you
before
would
we
never,
even thought
you would
about
never
going
run
home.
out of, you would never run out of houses to go to. And now it's like you're just going, you're looking, just walking blocks, just like going, fuck, somebody have the porch light on, please. Like, yeah, I heard back when we went like through 4 blocks, and the bag it was just one of those regular Halloween tote bags or whatever, but the bags were not even a fourth away full.
We walked 2 miles and they were about a quarter of the way full. And I'm still dying today. Like 2 miles, and like, cause you know I get some candy for walking. I'm not just doing it for nothing. My candy's already gone. It's like fuck that.
So go back out there, Shane.
You know what? There's enough
pretty
old
much.
people that live around here. I could probably confuse them and tell them it's still Halloween.
Pretty much everyone goes to the mall.
It's just
Pretty much
so.
everyone goes to the mall nowadays for candy.
I mean, it's
I
just so
find that
weird to
kinda
see
depressing, my
Well, at the
opinion.
mall, if you go there, like you only get like a piece at each location, and you still, I mean, you can still spend 2 hours in the fucking mall, going from store to store, and then by the time you get back, you still have a fucking quarter bag of candy because
Yeah, they're stingy.
yeah, like you go to the fucking candy store in the fucking mall, and they want to give you one.
Super stingy.
It's like, bitch, you got a whole fucking store behind you.
Like,
Like,
why do I get the Tootsie Roll when you have a chocolate
Yeah.
fountain over there? I mean,
I'm like, for fuck's sake, like I can just let me go take my pick, bitch. Like shit.
Bro, when I was a kid, right, my parents, if there was one thing they did right, was Halloween, right? We would fucking stay out until like 4 or 5 in the fucking morning. We didn't come
Yeah.
back at this 8, 9, 10 p.m. shit. It was 4 or 5 in the fucking morning, and by the end of the night, I shit you not, guys. You're talking about the one fucking big ass pillow, dude. I had like 4 or 5 sacks filled by the time we got home.
yeah, I mean, same. That was my parents' like time to shine too. I mean, because other people got to provide the candy for you, they didn't have to buy it, so it was like,
Yeah.
fuck, let's walk then. I mean,
Bro, like, and we would cover every neighborhood. We didn't care. We were like, yo, let's go to the rich people's houses first, and then we'll go into the
Oh,
slums.
of course, dude. They had full size.
And then by like 3 o'clock, let's circle back around to the other side of the rich people's houses, and then go back down to their slums. Like,
Oh man, we
Well, yeah,
were.
That's how you had to do it. You had to plan it right because like one route would be really full of rich people's things. So you'd want to do that real quick and then circle back around to your house so you could unload all your like full size Snickers.
bro,
and
like I
Milky
remember
Ways.
getting a lot of money on
that'll
Halloween.
fill
Yeah, me too, man. Like
That'll
in the
fill
rich-
your
our rich
bag up
neighborhood-
real quick.
In our rich
And some
neighborhood,
of
they
them
would,
have like the caramel apples and shit.
in
Yeah,
our rich
look at that
neighborhood, they would
around
give
all
out
night.
money. And like us, I had a really short friend, and so what we would do is we would walk the neighborhoods, and then we'd swap masks,
Mhm.
and then walk right back to the
Go
same
around
houses
again.
sometimes because we were different people. Like they remember the short guy being this guy and not me, the tall guy. And so, but I mean, yeah, but my parents, I mean, they didn't even walk with me for like unless they were when I was real little. But once I hit about 10, we were just
Yeah,
let
10.
loose. And man, we would be out late. But now, I mean, like they've made it now to where trick or treating time is from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m.
yeah, and then you gotta go to school the next day. Fuck that.
Yeah.
My parents were like, you can stay home the next day because we were out till like 3 in the morning, 2 in the morning.
Yeah,
I mean, shit. Here, or well, not here. In California, you would get a notice like the day before Halloween, sometimes a couple days before Halloween,
hey guys, I'll be right back.
that your kids would bring home, and it would say, please do not keep your kids out late. The absence that they, if they have an absence the day after Halloween, it will not be excused, no matter the note or anything like that. It's like, that's fucking stupid.
yep.
I mean, I'm not disagreeing with that, but you know, fuck them, basically. I mean,
I don't know,
if you have school the next day, you shouldn't be up that late.
No, because
That's my
Halloween was always just the one special time where you could stay out late and not have to worry about the next day. You could eat the candy for dinner.
Yeah, it wasn't like it was a family holiday like Christmas where everybody was inside and, or Thanksgiving where everybody eats at the table or whatever. Halloween was like, that was the one holiday where kids got to go out and just, run around and have fun. I mean, shit, I remember TPing people's houses and there were kids who set up ambushes with paintball guns and silly shit like that.
I mean, it was a completely different time back then compared to what it is now, and it's just every year it just keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
Well, they're doing the same thing with like every holiday. They want to erode any sense of national, unity.
Yeah, because they offend people.
I don't know. It's troubling to see.
Well, of course, if you're a Muslim terrorist who hates everything Western, of course it's going to offend you, and they don't want to be intolerant, of course.
Well, PUBG got a release date.
Yeah, next month, right?
December 12th.
Man, I don't think they're going to be ready.
I'm waiting. I'm not going to buy it December 12th.
Rambo's just sitting back waiting for the shit show to happen. I am getting that shit
I'm not
day
even
one.
I never had an intention of buying PUBG.
It's not going to be. Well, I mean, it doesn't even run properly on PC, and I have little like any sort of optimism that is going to run good on the Xbox One. Like even
Maybe.
the Xbox One,
it depends on who did the coding and how good they are with Xbox.
Well, if they let Xbox devs do the coding, then
or
cool.
just brought in somebody who was an expert and
but if they,
let him direct it or something. But if he took care of everything,
if they let him do it, then I have no faith in it at all. Even the Xbox One X, I mean, that's not going to even save it because Titans can't even save it on the PC. So I mean, I just have little faith in that game running decently.
Yeah, it just doesn't meet my standards of quality, and that's all right,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I just rather wait till the game actually is confirmed to be running properly, and by then it should be out of preview.
I mean, the same thing happened with DayZ, and the same thing. It was a shame because the game itself wasn't really all that great. I mean, they were doing some really interesting things, and that's what people really liked about it. But there were, lots of problems and bugs, issues with basic things like inventory management and shit like that. So, but that paved the way that, it obviously sent a signal that said, hey, if you build a game like this, you can be successful with it. Here's the proof. So, I mean, in a way, Fortnite releasing and all this other stuff, I'm sure there's going to be games that are practically clones coming out soon, with different engines and different play modes, monetization schemes.
Everybody's running with the idea that they think that PUBG is actually an exclusive.
I mean, right now it is. It's a console exclusive.
They're putting out a physical box to sell, but it only comes with a digital code inside. And the box says console exclusive, and apparently they're able to put that on there because the game preview is a console exclusive. So apparently that's considered different than the actual game itself, I guess. And so they're able to work that differently within, I guess legally or whatever, to be able to put that on there.
Yes, Cyrus, it does. The Xbox One X is more powerful than the Pro.
Oh, Cyrus, I don't know. I didn't get one. That was a joke. That was to trigger people. But yes, the Xbox One X is definitely going to be more powerful, more.
I would imagine.
Give you better.
Doesn't mean anything.
No, I mean it came out a year after the Pro, so I mean it better be fucking better than the Pro.
There are still PCs way more powerful, and they still have trouble with some of these games. So it's not like more technology is always the answer.
But I mean,
don't trigger the Xbox.
Nah, fuck them. 4K ain't everything, boys. I'm sorry. I hate to tell you.
No,
I know, Cyrus. A lot of people fell for that tweet. No, I mean the Xbox. I mean, it's definitely. I mean, if visuals are what like do it for you, then the Xbox One X, as far as consoles go, is going to be the console.
Yeah.
Now, if exclusives do it for you, then
Yeah, PlayStation.
the PlayStation. So I mean, it's kind of.
And if
Kinda
quote-unquote Americanized games are your thing, then you want to be with an Xbox. If you like games from another region, an Xbox probably isn't your thing.
Yeah, my only question is, Xbox One X being more powerful than the Pro by how much?
But now wait a minute, because PlayStation has Americanized games. Almost all their games their first party is mainly Americanized.
They do.
No, but they do have their library is a lot more full of outside of the
It's a lot more
US.
diverse.
Yeah.
The
Who's,
Xbox.
Yeah.
So if that's
does
important to
run
you, you'd
on-
want to stick with the Sony
Oh yeah,
platform.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's where. Okay.
Sorry, I may
Yeah,
have
so-
said it wrong.
So Caesar asked how much
Yeah.
more powerful is the Xbox
Yeah,
One X?
I
over
haven't looked at
PlayStation?
the stats for the
On
PS4
paper, I
Pro.
think
compared to the Pro,
On
yeah.
paper, I think total. I mean, we're talking like if you look at add up all the different difference in the power of the RAM, difference in the power of the CPU, all this stuff together, I think it comes like to 42%. The thing is though, is like most developers, like if you look at the Shadow of War, the third party game, the Shadow of War side by side from the Pro to the X, there's noticeable differences, but it's not like a night and day difference. Where you're going to get the night and day difference is going to be where like first party, because third party is not going to put a whole lot of effort into making the absolute top end, every little bit into out of that 42% difference in power, like shine on every game, because they've got too much to worry about rather than trying to make that one version of the game look the best. Whereas first party has the ability to really take advantage of that extra 42% and go from there. But I mean, I don't know. To me, power just like I wasn't really ever one back then, even in the beginning of the PlayStation, like saying how PlayStation's more power. The power
Bro.
come over here and.
You and I, actually, like all three of us were kind of shitting on the idea of like, the whole 0.5 generation consoles. To be honest with you,
Well,
like,
yeah, I mean, it didn't really make sense.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean-
their mere existence completely blows the entire "you don't have to upgrade like a PC" argument that console fanboys make.
I mean,
Because
there's also
This
the
is
third-
upgrading exactly like a PC. I mean, you don't get to pick the parts or anything like that, but
Well, the big difference is with the PlayStation and the Xbox from the PC side is that you don't have to upgrade. Like, there's not a single game that's going to come out
Right
on the
back
Pro
to the
or the
carrier
X that you can't
no,
play.
but that does happen within console generation, so it's still exactly like a PC
What-
within that
Wait a minute.
front.
What
You
happens?
can do. Okay. The entire argument from a console fan's perspective about upgrades
Is that you have? Yeah, but
is
the
that
upgrade
the
is
only
just so that way
upgrades
you
have
actually
to
have.
do. The only upgrades that you have to do are the generational leaps with consoles, where they don't make PS3 games anymore. So if you want to keep playing games, new games, you have to buy
jump
a PS4.
to the PS4. Yeah.
Right. Whereas with the PC, depending on your hardware, you may or may not, quote unquote, have to upgrade if you want to keep playing games, no matter how many times you buy parts. Because if you just keep going one little tiny upgrade every time, sure, you'll keep playing games. And you'll probably even be able to keep playing the latest games, albeit on pretty low settings. But every year you're going to be upgrading 2 or 3 different things, and that's going
Right.
to continue. Right. But with this new, like, half generational thing,
It doesn't
There
really
is-
change the argument, though.
yeah, it does, because now you have that's a
But
PC style upgrade. That is an incremental upgrade that is outside of the generational.
Okay, but still, I mean,
Yeah.
like what I'm saying
So,
though is
I
that the whole argument was based on in order to play the game, and the X and the Pro are not needed to play any game.
There's some people that still have.
I mean, I
this-
still- I find
Neither
it-
is upgrade. But neither is upgrading. I mean, it's kind of two different arguments about the same thing, but
Wait a
they
minute,
make
wait,
both
no, wait a
sides
minute.
of those arguments.
I think, first of all, I think the argument's dumb anyway, because I mean, like you said, PS3 to PS4, You still have to. I mean, to continue playing today's games, you have to pay more money.
You will eventually have to upgrade. Yeah.
But what I'm saying though is like the whole argument of the upgrade thing was that with PC you have to continually upgrade to play the latest games, because apparently which is true, I guess, if you're buying, like you said, like just the next little bitty increment to your GPU rather than actually going maybe 2 or 3 steps above your current GPU. But that's like the key part of that is like if you want to continue playing today, whereas the Pro and the X, that's not that doesn't change anything, because you can still play all of today's games and going forward until the end of the generation on your 2013 launch console.
Sure, but you can no longer say that there's no differentiation of hardware like there is in the PC. Like that, the upgrade argument wasn't just literally about upgrades. I mean, it was about a whole other host of things that tie into upgrades.
I've only seen it about everybody being able to play games.
But no. I get that.
That's all. I mean, I'm saying that's all I've ever seen the upgrade argument about is.
Oh no, because I've seen it. Because there is an argument that if you keep everything to single consoles for each generation, then it's only one thing to program for. Whereas with the Xbox One X and the PS4 Pro, now you have. I mean, they're similar to each other, but they're still 2 different consoles that you're programming for. So you no longer have that complete unity. It's still less differentiation than on the PC, but like I said, this is just one more step on the console side of getting closer and closer to becoming more like a PC. And it's just, I don't know. Maybe it's better that consoles become more like PCs, or maybe it's not. I don't know which one is better.
I don't know.
But
I know I have a Pro, but I mean the whole generational leap thing is just, or the half generation thing is just
annoying.
It's just weird to me. Like Xbox was in a position where they kind of had to, they had to do something different because.
Sony forced their hand.
Well, yeah, but they were just getting shit on by the media, by everything for so long that they were like, fuck it, we got to do something. But I mean, I still would have liked to see them and PlayStation both just stick with the 2013 hardware, do the Slim like they always do, and then next generation, okay, learn from our mistake, and then put out like the Xbox One X and the PlayStation 4 Pro for the next generation, and make that be the defining point. Like, okay, now we're talking no more power, shortages and shit like that. We're here. But this half generation thing where it's not needed but it's there, it seems like a waste of money from the companies.
Absolutely, I agree with that. What I think is weird though, why didn't they just upgrade, the GPU and mess the clocks and do some minor modifications before launch, when they knew that all the new CPU and the new GPUs that were being launched during that calendar year, people were able to just already outbuild that platform at a much cheaper budget. So I'm a little confused as to why Sony and Microsoft didn't do that. You know what I mean? Or better yet, instead of mass producing a shit ton of them, right? Because let's face it, if they would have done that, it would have cost them more money. So instead of mass producing them like that, make one platform or one console as your test console to see where your things are going, and then when you finally see where your hardware market's going, because you have to understand, these things are made 10 years in advance. Do you know what I mean? They're being worked on almost immediately after their last release. So
the hardware isn't usually finalized until maybe 4 or 5 or 6 years after that.
Right.
But still, it's at least 2 to 4 years between when the hardware is finalized and when the console launches.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't understand why, instead of this 0.5 of a generation shit, why they don't just go ahead and just be like, you know what? We're going to go ahead and release the best that we can release. Because you got to understand, being a technology partner with Intel and AMD, the ins and outs before everybody else does in the market, right? These are your contracted companies that are working with you. They're a technology partner, and their only interest is to making sure that their product is in your product for as long as humanly possible. So you know that they had to have known about, you know, the Ryzen coming out. They had to have known about the Vega coming out. And I'm just kind of surprised, like, even if they would have just did their bare minimals for those two product lines, they would have been miles better than where they're at currently.
Yeah, man, I don't know. I mean, if you look at the power, like, I think the different, like, PlayStation, I think the difference is even smaller because of the, like, how powerful the cell processing thing was as far as power goes. But if you look at the power difference between last generation and this, like when they launched this, it was very minimal. It was almost like a half generation, you know, a half generation leap or whatever from the last gen. Like, why, I don't know, to me, like, why they didn't start out with like the Xbox One X and the PS4 Pro back then and then move forward from there rather than, you know, this way. I mean, because you're still putting, I mean, they're still putting out a $500. So, like, why not make that $500 console the launch console and make the PS4 Pro the launch PS4? They should have started off where the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X was.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
yep.
Wasn't it because the economy fucked them up? You know, when it bombed. Or some
That
shit?
might have been some of it. Yeah.
I think the economy had a thing to do with it. That's the reason why. That's the reason why the last gen lasted so long.
Although it's a double-edged sword, because one, leisure activities are the first to go whenever there's a recession. So anything like video games or, you know, putt-putt golf or, you know, arcades or whatever it is, like, those are always the first to suffer. But video games are the one leisure that people tend to hang on to the longest in a recession, because it's one of the cheaper hobbies. It's definitely one of the cheapest as far as hours per dollar invested. You know, you can get a cheap used PS2, PS3, PS4, whatever the generation is, with a few super long single player games or multiplayer games if you can afford internet, and you've got yourself thousands of hours of entertainment for, you know, a couple $100.
Yeah, compared to
yeah, but that means that they buy less on the overall. So while the video game market probably didn't suffer as much as some other industries suffered, they still did face somewhat of a long lag, I'm assuming,
well,
as far as sales
the reason
go.
I mean, they've already said that's the reason why last gen lasted so long. Like, they were like the consoles were supposed to be coming out in 2010.
And that probably meant they had less money for development when these consoles were in original development, that those 15 years ago or whenever it was. And now they're trying to catch up a little, as it were.
Well, now, I mean, so they put up the release of it from 2010 to 2013 because of the economy. So, I mean, that might be the biggest reason why, like, we didn't get the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X as the because at the launch, because, like, everybody literally thought that last gen was the last gen for gaming. Like, that gaming was done. Like, it was doom and gloom for console gaming. And 2013 hit, and PlayStation kind of shocked the world with how well it's done, and console gaming is back booming again. Whereas, like, nobody would have thought we'd be here back in, like, say 2010, 2011.
It helps. I think, you know. It helps, you know, explain maybe why we didn't get a X1X and PS4 Pro in 2013 or 2010, I should say.
I don't know, man. Like, I think, I mean, I still, you know, like I said, I love my platform. It's a great platform, you know.
It's understandable, but it's tough knowing what could have been.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's just so annoying because I see the potential that these consoles have, right? And right now, between the two, it seems like the PlayStation's trying to be a little bit more varied, you know what I mean? But Now, if they would have released all these games back then, I would have probably played my PlayStation a little bit more. But I'm so dedicated to them.
How well would Nier Automata have done? Like
Right.
closer to the explosion of like the Final Fantasies up through like 12 and 14.
I think it would have blown.
If it had released like maybe 3 or 4 years after like 12 and all them had gotten like the peak of like people loved 7 and then 8 and then 9 and 10 and it all built up and people were digging Japanese games back then. Like Nier had released like right at the height of that. Oh my god, dude, it would have sold 100 million copies.
Yep.
Well, I mean, there was a Nier game.
Right, but it wasn't the same game though.
Yeah, I know. That game was interesting. I liked it. I didn't.
It was very underappreciated. It was one of those like it's a cult. Like Nier in general is a cult series that only a few people really, really, really fucking love. Some people will pick it up and say, "Yeah, this is fun" for about 5 minutes and then put it down. But the fans of that game, like, I mean, it's pretty cool. Like, I love those types of things where, like, it's not quite Call of Duty, but yet it's not fucking, it's not necessarily a failure. It's just got a small little niche community. And Jesus, what are you doing over there?
Rambo.
Yeah, man.
Is Rambo alive?
Did Rambo trip and fall? Like, what the fuck? You alright?
No, I'm here. I had to plug my phone in. I'm having to hold it up to my ear now, but I'm charging it now. So.
Oh, okay.
For some reason, I don't know why my battery. It was full when I came out here, but like it depleted a lot faster this time than what it usually does.
Gotta love those batteries.
But I realized that I was like actually kicked out of the stream, which I didn't, or voice wise, but like did we talk? Like, did y'all hear me say like about like seeing what Xbox is going to do next gen? Like if they're going to continue with the forwards compatible, or are they going to actually make a generation to where all their previous games on the Xbox and Xbox 360 and the Xbox One are just going to be backwards compatible on the next generation, or are they going to make it to where the developer has to make the game work on Xbox One S all the way to the next console?
Like, what are you like? You're talking about the whole library?
Because they said like their thing is backwards and forwards compatible. They've came out and said that several times to where if you own an Xbox One S, then you don't have to go buy an X because every game is going to be.
All the games that play on an X will play on an S.
Yeah, and so they said that they're done with console generation. So that means that the next generation or the next console that they release is like say Call of Duty 45 is going to be playable on the Xbox One S. And so that, and where PlayStation is, like they said they're definitely going with the PlayStation 5. Well, they didn't call it the PlayStation 5, but the next generation, whereas like if you're going to play Call of Duty 45, you have to actually have a PlayStation 5. So if Sony does that, and I think that it's a great idea. Great idea for Microsoft to do the backwards and forwards, but it also is a bad idea because it really puts no matter how much power you have on your system, they're still now the developers are having to create 4 different copies of the game to make sure it runs.
I still think it's only going to be like one generation backwards for the forwards compatibility part. I don't think they're going to. I don't think the Xbox One X1 will have to. All the games that release on that will have to work on the Xbox One S.
Well, the reason why I said that I don't know is because like the next generation is expected to launch around 2019, 2020. And we're not that far away from that. And so
we'll see what they say.
Yeah,
that one. Yeah.
It's.
I think they're only making that claim because the next console isn't close to being out. I think once the next console is close to being out, they'll change to it will be one generation forward and and hopefully unlimited backwards, but we'll at least guarantee like 1 or 2 get backwards.
the way that's going, like if Sony puts out a PS5 in 2019, 2020, there's not enough time from now or from November 7th until 2019, 2020 to phase everybody from an Xbox One S to an Xbox One X to kind of do that backwards and forwards from there. So that, I mean, I don't know. It's just kind of, it's going to be interesting to see how it goes, because since they both did their mid generation a year apart, does that mean the next generation is going to be a year apart? Like, and that will definitely have some effect on sales as well, because
Right. Or is Microsoft going to release the same year as Sony?
yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like the next generation is going to be where the really interesting part happens.
I think Sony's going to come out first because being that the X is more powerful or whatever, even though to gamers like us that doesn't mean anything because it's all about optimization and gameplay, but to a lot it does mean quite a bit. So being the X is more powerful than the Pro, I think Sony's going to answer that a lot
It's on Sony.
Yeah, they're going to answer that
Well, see, I don't.
faster.
Microsoft put the ball in their court.
That's the thing, is like because that implies that these companies react to each other.
Well, and they kind of do.
But they don't, though, because and like just like what Brim said earlier, and how even Phil and Yoshida's even commented on it. When the Xbox One came out, they were working on the Xbox One X, like before the Xbox One ever actually released. Like but once they were done finalizing those plans, they started immediately going to work on like the Xbox One X. Whereas like PlayStation immediately started working on the Pro. Like they were already thinking of ahead to the next thing, and they're not going, okay, well I'm gonna get to this point.
No, but they both
and just wait and see what they do.
They both knew that the other companies were doing similar things.
Well, no.
So in essence, it's kind of like it's kind of like betting. They're both betting on a horse race, but they each pick their own jockey, and they're training the horse and raising the horse themselves. I mean, they do react to each other, but it's on a delayed schedule.
What I'm saying is that yes, Rambo is completely right. When something hits the shelf, whatever it is, the company that puts that out is already working on their next big thing. Yes. But the release date for their next big thing is not set. Therefore, like Microsoft and Sony were both working on their mid-generation consoles, but they were sitting on the release date. Sony, went and released theirs first, so, it's not that Microsoft's like, reacting to them. It's just like, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I think the only way like that it's going to like force Sony's hand on the release date of the PS5 is if the Xbox One X takes off.
I completely agree.
Sure,
As of right now, games are what is more like. It shows because like the Nintendo Switch has plenty of good exclusives in there, like sitting at like a little over 7.5 million already. PlayStation's kicking ass with and they have exclusives, and Microsoft's still like trying to like come of age in this generation. And so if the X takes off, like if they're able to like now focus on games and start pumping out games on that console, and it takes off to a point to where it kind of gives Sony a run for their money, then yeah, I can maybe see them upping the thing. But if it stays kind of like the way it is now, to where like PlayStation's running away and Nintendo Switch is running away and Xbox is still selling, but just selling kind of like it is now, then I don't think Sony's even giving a shit what like their release date in their mind is never going to change from what they previously thought from when they first started working on it. I don't think so, at least, because
there would have to be pressure on them for that to happen.
Yeah, and I as of right now, I see the X having a good start, but unless something changes within the way they release games and stuff like that, I don't see the X really being or the Xbox being putting any pressure on Sony at all.
It's all about that launch. That launch will be the Achilles heel of Microsoft. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah, but I honestly think that the launch of the Xbox One X for November sales, I think that there's a big possibility that Nintendo Switch will actually still win November. and still sell more in November than what the Xbox does, and even PlayStation with the whole Call of Duty and Star Wars Battlefront, and their custom consoles out there with them. So I mean, the launch is like, as far as numbers wise go, is not. I mean, it's going to be a probably. I would think it'd still be strong, but I don't think it's going to be like take notice, like that type of strong. It's really a weird time to launch the console, like in the middle of the big multi-plat games coming out and stuff like that. I know it's a traditional time to launch, consoles, but these mid-generation gaps, whenever I thought the same thing with like Sony whenever they released in November. I'm like, that seemed like a dumb idea to release a console with no games attached to it in a month when, like everybody's buying multi-plats.
So this just crossed my my interest. If you guys want to hear about it, are you guys familiar with the Dot Hack series?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I haven't watched much of it though.
Well, guess
what?
Guess what the PC Master Race is getting soon.
Oh, yeah,
We're getting Dot Hack GU trilogy.
Yeah.
So was Sony.
I read somewhere.
That is fucking awesome, by the way. And we're getting a fourth game with it as an exclusive or whatever for
Cool.
Hack.gu Reconnection. Yeah, it's the fourth game. Yep. So we're getting
I need to start watching
4
this series.
games. We're getting 4 games, and it's gonna be fucking glorious.
Is it all for the price of one?
Yeah, it's gonna be all for the price of one. I'm looking at this right now, and the requirements for it are pretty fucking amazing. GTX 468 with a 768 meg could run this game. So like, it's not gonna take a whole lot to run this game at all.
So the player base should be big.
1080p, 60 FPS. You're looking at slight changes in the rendering. Like, it's going to look a little bit more advanced. In other words, they modernized it, but that's a good thing. So, I mean, it's going to be an awesome fucking series. A lot of people are going to enjoy this game. A lot of people actually doubted me when I was first talking about these kind of games coming over to PC. There are a lot of people that were saying, no one's going to enjoy Hyper Dimension Neptunia. Nobody's going to enjoy those games. Nobody cares about JRPGs. And next thing you know, Hyper Dimension Neptunia turned out to be a bestseller for like 3 months straight. That's really good. I really hope they do well. I just requested for my key, so.
No, I need to go watch the series.
Oh shit.
I only saw like
on Evolve?
On the key mailer.
The PlayStation is getting
Email never gives me shit.
Dot Hack GU.
I wonder if Hulu has it.
And it's like, I guess the first game, the first Dot Hack game, been remastered for the PlayStation 4.
You guys should be getting all of them. You're not going to be getting the last Recode.
Let me.
Yeah, you might want to look into that.
It's called the Last Recode.
Okay, so you're getting all the same packaging that we're getting. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, I've never even heard of the games, but so like somebody else, whenever I was talking to, I guess I posted in the Facebook group that, like some of my pre-orders I was doing, asking what they were looking at, and somebody mentioned the Dot Hacks, and I was like, I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. Like, I saw it in the store, but I didn't know what the hell it was. I just figured it was some indie game.
Yeah.
What are they? Like people act like they're.
Dude, they are really good games. They are really, really good JRPGs. It's a game that was, you could play it alongside the show and discover things within the game because you watched the show.
So it's a JRPG.
Yeah. You like? Oh, that's right. You like JRPGs now, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, you definitely like it. Then it's really badass. If they would, and I hope they do. I hope CyberConnect will bring the first Dot Hack series over because that's a pretty big series. It's like what 6-7 games or some shit. I didn't get a chance to play those games, but I only heard good things about it. But I got to watch the show a lot. The show was really good.
I've never heard of it, so I don't.
Yeah, like I said, I need to start watching. I only saw a few episodes, and that was it. Um,
And I guess they have a fighter in Japan. It's like dot hack. It's a dot hack fighter. It's a GU versus or some shit where it's like the old versus the new. Like I was really interested in looking into that too. Like I was thinking about importing that bitch. I was like, imports. Little expensive, right? Yeah, a little bit, but you know, it's worth. Until you find out like a month later that that's coming over to the US. It's like son of a bitch. It's kind of why I stopped supporting PlayAsia lately, is because besides not having any money, but obviously finding out that some of these titles are coming over a little afterwards, it's kind of daunting actually. You're like, wow, I just spent like twice the asking price for that game. Like, maybe I should stop doing this.
It's so odd to me to see like that type of game not be released across. If it's going to be released on the PlayStation, like not be released across the whole thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be honest, like Cyber Connect has always been more of a PlayStation.
Well, I mean, if it's a JRPG, I understand. I didn't know it was. I thought it was just
They're
like
the one. They're the ones that helped develop Hyper Dimension Neptunia and stuff. And
okay, well then that makes sense. Because I mean, they're like that just doesn't. They don't sell well on the Xbox.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I mean, with their minimum order thing and crap like that, it's definitely going to go into play whenever like the sales will definitely matter to them.
That is so weird that they're like that. Like minimum order shit. Like I didn't even know about that until you said something about it. I was like, what? Like,
and now the ESRB, we were supposed to be getting a physical copy of Ruiner, the indie game that came out. I guess everybody's talking about it. But they were going to release a PS4 physical version, and the developers came out and said, well, you know, due to the ESRB changes, we can't afford it because they have to now like relicense, like pay for a license fee for each individual copy that they're putting out and shit like that. So he said it costs way too much money for us to do that. So like the ESRB is like hounding people with fees or whatever for. That's making it like almost impossible for these indie companies small indie companies to put out a physical release, which kind of sucks for them because that's where I mean, I know that a lot of money goes into it, but the physical presence is really what helps the games really these indies do well.
Yeah, I don't know.
just type this in. So Hulu has them. Dog and Sign Root, 51 episodes in total. I can binge through that pretty quick.
Did you hear about GameStop's new little thing?
Yeah, renting games.
Where you can rent. They have a rental thing where I think it's like 6 months worth of thing, but it's $60. It's a $60 price tag, and you get to rent one game at a time, but you can rent as many as you want. So like if you rent one game and beat it that day, you can take it back and get another one, and just keep doing that for the whole 6 months, and then across whatever platform you want to. And then at the end of the 6 months, you get to keep whatever game is your last game.
Sounds like something that could be like benefit to you, Rambo. I mean, I know you buy a lot of shit, so
yeah, I'm not really into
for Trophy
rental
Hunter, sure, because you're paying the same amount as you would for.
I'd rather myself. I'd rather just own the game.
Yeah.
That way, I mean,
well, and that's the thing. Who's going to want to go to the GameStop after every single beaten game and replace it for a new one?
Well, I mean, for me,
it's like $60 once a year, or is it
$60 for the 6 months?
So $10 a month, but
I guess that's not too bad.
At the end of it, so you can get a $60 game.
No, it's actually, but to me, it's like a better deal than that Xbox Game Pass because you get access to basically GameStop's entire store for $60
and GameFly.
It has to be pre-owned though, right?
Yeah, pre-owned for sure. Yeah,
but they'll have a pre-owned copy of just about any popular game that most people would want.
Well, I mean, hell, I mean, they have like a game will come out, and sometimes they'll have that pre-owned game like the same day it came out.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's either the same day or the next day that you're guaranteed to find a pre-owned copy.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically someone buying a new game, binge through it 24 hours, and then return it the next day. You know how it is.
But see, like me, I especially the single player games, I like having like purchase so that way, if I ever feel like going back to playing them, then they're there. Because there's to me like you get a lot more memorable experiences from the single player to where you'll want to go back and replay them, and where you don't get the same feeling from multiplayer. So I mean that would benefit me through maybe multiplayer games, but I mean I don't really buy a too terrible shit ton of those multiplayer games. So and there's from what I understand there's like no rental period either. So like if you check out say Call of Duty World War II, then you can keep that Call of Duty World War II for the full 6 months
and just keep it at the end.
and just keep it at the end.
Yeah,
basically, yeah. That's basically, yeah. I definitely take advantage of this. You know, it's funny. Like I know people will still give shit to GameStop, but hey, you know this is a good deal. You know.
Well, yeah. I mean, I won't use them because I want GameStop to go out of business.
Well, he's not wrong. I'm kind of right there with him.
Yeah, I'm same.
I know Shaner's a huge GameStop fan though, so I mean.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I go there all the time.
Somebody was trying to argue with.
I barely go there anymore. You know, this would entice me to go there every now and then. The rental service.
Somebody was trying to argue with Porterock on Twitter, talking about like that now that these games are coming out, like where like PUBG is online only and stuff, that really what Microsoft was doing back in 2013 would have been a like hindsight looking back is like 2020 saying that it was really a good idea, and Porterock was like, no. Like, dude, he said that.
Jesus,
the fuck was that?
I'm sorry. That was too funny. that was too funny. I'm sorry.
Going back to like he said that like Porterock was like going, man, if you took your console, like if you had to move and you moved into a new place and you didn't get your internet installed for a week, your console's a brick for that week. Like you can't play. He's like, but it still would have worked for single player. Like, no, I mean, our disc games. He's like, no, it would have made the console, ineffective. But he's like, well, he said, fine. He's like, I'm not gonna mess around with a fanboy like you, because there was workarounds to where you could like connect it to a Wi-Fi hotspot to do the the digital check-in. Or I'm like going, but that's what you really want to do with the fucking console, like where you have to like connect it to your use your fucking mobile data just to be able to play your fucking games. That was some fucking shit that they tried in 2013.
He's missing the point, basically.
There's a huge difference between DRM and what Sony or what Microsoft was trying in 2013.
Yeah.
No, what Microsoft was trying to do, that was bullshit.
I had an argument with the damn PlayStation fanboy talking about how Microsoft's anti-consumer and Nintendo's anti-consumer, and he'll only deal with PlayStation because PlayStation doesn't treat him like an idiot. And I was like, you're a fucking idiot. Like that's the problem. Like he was like, well, no, because Microsoft was trying to fuck you over with the DRM. And I was like, dude, your game on PlayStation has DRM. Well, yeah, but the console, I was like, that wasn't DRM. That was just a console check-in. Like DRM is digital rights management. You can't use digital rights management on a physical product. Like it doesn't work that way. That was just like what people called it out here because we didn't know what else to call it. But it wasn't digital rights, it wasn't DRM. And then he was like, well, Nintendo fucks over everybody. Like, you can't stream their stuff unless you're a fanboy. I'm like, what? He's like, well, they kick you out of the Nintendo Creators Club if you're negative about Nintendo. I was like, no, they don't. I was like, most people just don't sign up for the damn thing except the fanboys because no YouTuber is willing to give them half of their fucking profits. I was like that. Like that's the huge problem with it. I was like, he was just like toxic, just like so fucking dumb, and I just had to mute him because I was like, I can't.
That whole thing is still such a slippery slope for me because, I mean, I still strongly stand against that ideal that if you buy a video game and you stream it and you make money on it, then that's a bad thing. It's like, bruh, like, do you realize the amount of fucking money these developers make just on advertising alone. Like, are you kidding me? Like, this is stupid. It would be one thing. It'd be one thing if I was like, hey, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and stream this person's music on my YouTube page. Obviously, that's fucking wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, music, it's passive media, right? And so you can't really be transformative with it. It's audio. But what you're doing with the game, with what they develop, is transformative. Whether it's skits, machinima type videos, or just straight up commentary. It's transformative and it's interactive media. That's why I'm still kind of like
just
that.
playing a video game by its very nature is transformative.
Absolutely.
Yeah, their video game will not play itself.
Unless
the only it's got a demo mode. But even then, I mean, that's not really playing itself. That's just working out a routine that somebody's programmed in over and over and over again.
To me, I mean, I don't know. Like, if you're playing a very strong linear-based game that, where no matter if Brim plays it or if I play it, there's nothing that's going to be different in it. Like that type of thing. But that's very far and few between with games. Like. Where Brim, there might be one or two games like that in a year or whatever that come out.
Walking
for the most part,
well,
for the most part, it's like, you know, Brim might be the one type that just runs straight through the game from the beginning to the end. Where I might be going over to the side quest and the collectibles, and I mean, there's so many different things that people can experience from watching different people that I don't see how they get away with what they do.
You know, with me it's more understandable for story games. You know, I understand people have a problem with you know, someone uploading a story game and not add any commentary to it. You know, raw footage.
Yeah, but I don't even watch those channels though, right? Like, well, no, not even. That's not even.
It still should be considered fair use.
Yeah, because you okay. Here's the thing: if the person wasn't playing it, that's one thing. But the person's playing it,
it's not a movie. It's a game.
Okay, but
you made a game, not a movie.
I'm still confused on that. If it's a story-based linear game where basically, I want to say Telltale but I mean, we're just gonna say any of these walking simulators, like whereas
would be a good example.
Whereas Brim plays through it, and no matter what he does, like there's no veering off to the side to look at different things. It's basically point A to point B. The story is just given to you in that thing. Just because, what makes it transformative in the sense that the only thing that you're doing basically is taking your thumbstick and pushing it up in comparison to somebody streaming a movie. Like I don't. The only difference between that game and a movie is the thumbstick pressing up.
Well, see but this is the thing though. Like, I'm not trying to split hairs between what we should regulate when it comes to video games. When it comes to video games in general, regardless of what type, they should not be regulated to being set off as passive media, like music and video streaming is. That's what I'm trying to get at. I don't care if it's a Telltale game, and I don't care if it's a storybook game either. Where you don't push anything. I don't give a fuck. If it's a video game, it does not need to be regulated as far as streaming and recording content with it. Because when you start regulating that kind of thing, it goes on to, well, since we got away with regulating this, let's see how much more we could regulate when it comes to people's content.
It will be, you have to get a YouTube license like in Germany, because they
want
to, because they consider, you know, putting videos out, broadcasting on like it would be on TV.
Yeah,
so you gotta get the same kind of license, and we don't need that kind of thing.
If we could guarantee that, very story-based linear games, like would be the only thing that they would regulate, then I would be okay with that. But
that's what they would tell you at the beginning.
But I'm just saying if we could guarantee that is what I'm saying, then I would be okay with that regulation, because I mean, I would think that would take away some of the sales for the game, because of the fact that there's going to be a lot of people that just, especially if it's a $60 title and it's a walking simulator and nobody's playthrough is going to be different. if you can sit there and watch it, a 6-hour thing and get the exact same thing out of it as playing it, then it would take away. It could possibly take away from sales from that particular one title. But I don't think that like Nintendo games, the way because they're mainly all open world and all the all the different fun crap or whatever. I don't think they should have a say so in the regulation of media, that type of media.
No, because the walking simulator is like, I don't see them that different than watching a movie. I mean,
well, it depends on which walking
simulator.
Depends on which walking simulator you're talking about. Because like if you have like
Gone Home isn't quite linear.
Everybody's Gone to the Rapture isn't really linear because I mean, sure, there's a point A and point B, but there's so much that you can do in between point A and point B, like looking at all the different things, getting a little bit more of the story. But I mean, there's like I said, there's very few games that is a direct point A to point B, and nothing's going to change that outcome.
Like I said, it's understandable. I'm not saying whether I agree with it or not. Just I get it.
Yeah.
But I mean, he was just under the impression that Nintendo actively shuts down anybody who talks negative about him. Like, no, they don't, man. Like they just simply go after anybody who's not in the Creation Club showing any bit of their content. Like, you can even just show a picture of the fucking game and you can get striked.
Bro, I remember what's his face? What was it? Alpha Megaston, I think he had a Nintendo poster up on his wall, and they fucking sent out a strike against him, and I'm just like, really? That's fucking ludicrous, dude. Like,
as if they would do the same thing if a movie had a scene where they panned over like a shopping mall or a boutique in New York that had video games, and there was a Nintendo thing there in the window, just like a poster on the wall, right? Like they would send a copyright strike to Universal Studios if there was any Nintendo merchandise in their films. Get the fuck out of here.
I imagine they would.
They probably would, dude. This is Nintendo.
Oh, that's the thing. They would if they could, but they'd lose that. They'd lose that in court.
No, they don't. Because like in order for like anything Nintendo to appear in a movie, that movie has to contact Nintendo and ask for permission. Like you can't, like they cannot, like if you played like the Fast and Furious 8.
No. Not if it was only a poster on the wall.
Yes, they do.
No, they wouldn't.
Yeah,
I guarantee you.
That's the reason why. That's the reason why if whenever they pan across and you see a Coke machine, it looks just like a Coca-Cola machine, but it's labeled something else because they can't. If they just pan across and it says Coca-Cola and they haven't got the ad placement from Coca-Cola, then they can get in trouble for that. It's if you watch the credits, they even think all the different ad placements.
If that were true, then Coca-Cola could DMCA every single person that's ever drank a can of Coke on stream, and they can't do that. That's against fair use. You're not.
Okay, what I'm saying is that in the movies, it's different. Like in the movies, they have to get permission.
No, because here's the thing: those companies will pay to have their product sponsored over another product. If they had to get Coke's permission, there'd be no way Coca-Cola would pay them to put the movie companies would be begging and offering $1 million to Coke and Pepsi or whoever, and whoever had the lowest agreement price, they would be paying them, not the other way around. So there's got to be something in there where just because something flashes across the screen in a movie doesn't mean that you have to get their permission. Because, like, I guarantee you, not every car that's in every movie ever made, they had to go to Nissan and Ford and Honda and Toyota. If they shoot a New York sidewalk, they don't have to get permission from every car manufacturer that drives by. I mean, there are limitations to what a company can claim for copyright or trademark when it comes to like movies and TV and shit like that.
Dude, that would be expensive as fuck. Holy shit. They had to get permission for every manufacturer.
Yeah, it would be ludicrous. Yeah, so there are. I don't know what the rules are, but there have to be certain rules. Maybe it's screen time, or maybe it's how prominent it is, or maybe it's whether it's a setup scene or whether it's just a shot of a real city. I don't know what the criteria are because I've never delved into those kind of laws or rules when it comes to copyright or trademark. But there have to be something, because there's no way that the Hollywood would function if every company that ever did a TV show, commercial, movie, or anything like that had to pay every manufacturer that ever had a label or something showing in one of their products.
That's just too crazy. Jeez.
And it really
Well,
comes down to who has the money to take this stuff to court cases. Because
well, I mean, the only people who's ever going to be able to challenge Nintendo are the bigger,
exactly,
or the
is a
bigger
company.
No, the bigger YouTubers.
Or yeah, anybody who's got enough money to hire enough lawyers to fight him in the several year battle it's going to be.
But like Nintendo of America says it's okay, but Nintendo of Japan says no, it's not.
Fucking slant eyes.
Nintendo of Japan can eat a dick.
Well, I mean, they're the ones that control Nintendo of America, so I mean, that's the ultimate say so.
Like, what happened to free advertisement? Jesus Christ! You guys remember?
Well, I'm just thinking. I mean, like PewDiePie playing Mario Odyssey
Oh yeah.
would.
How many people would
generate,
go buy a
like-
Switch just from that?
I mean, there would be so many people that would. Yeah, like you said, like I mean, the Switches would be even more popular than what they are now if he was allowed to play that on stream.
Yeah, like you remember Keemstar tweet? I forgot what happened. I think it was the whole PewDiePie situation with the N-word. The developer had which one was it? Firewatch.
Firewatch.
He was complaining. Oh,
He was going to
these people
DMCA
making
every
He did
video he
DMCA
made.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, these people making money out of that, and Keemstar was like, "No, bitch, they're making you money." Okay,
Right.
that was funny.
Everybody
They're making
wins
you money.
in
They're
this
making you
situation.
money.
Don't
Like, what
fuck
was
this up, guys. Yeah.
What was he said? Firewatch was selling like 1,000 or a few thousand copies or something, and when PewDiePie streamed it sold like another 20,000 or some shit. I forgot the figures.
I don't know
forgot
that.
the figures, but
It was
he's
noticeable and it was a large difference. Yeah.
yeah. So
I mean, these large YouTubers playing these games definitely generate more sales than what it's worth. Like what it's worth of striking down the video.
Sure.
And Nintendo, I don't know why. I still don't understand like what their deal is with it. I don't know why they're so damn ass backwards. But I can understand like why PewDiePie, making that much money off of his videos, isn't willing to sign up to where you give another 70% towards PlayStation or to Nintendo of his Nintendo videos. Like that's a huge cut out of.
Yeah, and it's unnecessary. He doesn't need to stream their games. He's got a million other to choose from.
Yeah.
Some of them are free too.
And I imagine like Firewatch is going to, like the developers there, they're gonna. I mean, it's going to that what they did to PewDiePie, because he did make it known that they, even though that he privated the video, that they still struck him, and he said that from now on he just won't play any of their games anymore.
Yeah, and that's
But,
going to be a
I
hit
mean,
for them.
That's definitely. I mean, the future games that they make is definitely going to have some effect on that. That decision that they did is going to have some effect on their.
Yeah, well, what happens to the next
Like,
streamer that they don't like?
He didn't even curse at Firewatch. Like what business did that developer have? Like what the hell?
It was virtue signaling.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah. I just find that stupid. Like, Christ, like if I was a developer and someone told me, oh, PewDiePie said the N-word, like where? Oh, at this game. Okay, why I give a
Does
fuck?
that have anything to do with me or my game?
Like, why I give a fuck? Why should I give a shit? You know what I mean? Like, so long as he didn't do that on, stream my game, I don't care.
Well, even if he did do that streaming my game, I still don't care, because it's not like that.
No, I'm not an oversensitive twat.
Well, I mean, no, I mean, like him saying the word, even if he said it on the Firewatch stream, isn't going to make the sales for Firewatch go down because of PewDiePie. Like, you're not guilty. You're not guilty by the developer's not guilty by the people who play it.
I mean,
Because shit, if that was the case, you know how many of these?
Oh, there'd be no video game companies left.
Well, yeah, because I mean they would
sorry.
these people that are doxing people would go around looking for like digging into every single person that they could to see who's playing the game and stuff like that, and try
Call
to
of Duty, and he
Yeah,
said this one time. Activision, you're gonna allow that? Oh,
that would seriously that would be a shitstorm that
It's just
I wouldn't want to be a part of.
Especially since, like, you know, it's what everyone pretty much does when they're playing a competitive game, whether it's Call of Duty, Battlefield, PUBG, Overwatch, Dota. Like, it's what we do. You know, the heat of a moment, which, you know, according to these asshats at what was it? What was that stream? He's like, oh, the heat of the moment thing doesn't exist. Like,
heat of the
be
moment
quiet.
doesn't exist. Yeah.
Be quiet, man. Just shut up. Jesus Christ. Heat of the moment doesn't exist. And, you know, Rax made a video about it, and he was at the same video, he's like, oh, I get heated, you know, playing a game. I'm like, yeah. wait a minute.
I thought there was no heat of the moment.
Right? Like, what the hell?
No, Cyrus, it doesn't. That I'm reading back to the comments. You're actually incorrect about the fair use applying to if you do it on your own service and not YouTube. No, fair use applies on YouTube as well, because there have actually been fair use cases like being brought out of YouTube, and the people the people lost because it is the fair use is applied to YouTube as well. Now, like what you said, I mean, YouTube definitely has the right to say, I don't want any of this type of content on my platform, and therefore, like, not allow it. But
they can't. If if it's monetized, then it has to fall under fair use, because if it's not fair use, then the monetization belongs to the original creator, and that YouTube is liable for that legal action.
Yeah, so I mean, like they don't. Yeah, like what Go Get said in the terms of service, like the only thing that YouTube is like gonna do is like strike down like racist videos or you know, extreme violent videos to where it's like showing a beheading of a woman and stuff like that. But like fair use applies to the terms of service in YouTube videos. Like if I was to play any game or have gameplay in my videos when I'm talking like I do, fair use applies there. Like obviously YouTube allows it. I mean, YouTube isn't the one that is like saying anything about Nintendo videos. That's Nintendo. But I'm trying to figure out like where you're going with that.
Well,
Wow.
speaking of which, the Nintendo Switch, I'm glad is doing well. Sold over 700 million copies.
7 million.
7.60 something.
7.6 something. So like 7,683,000, I think, copies or whatever.
Yeah, which is good. Which
units.
is good. I'm
Yeah.
happy. Definitely did better than it already did better than the Wii U. It took the Wii U 3 years to sell to reach 10 million. You know, the Switch reaching almost 10 million by now. You know, that's great. It already did better. Hopefully,
Oh yeah, I mean that's
climb up. Hopefully, it'll continue to climb up. You know.
Well, it all depends on Nintendo.
Yeah.
They got a decent games lineup so far, but if they really want to get into the handheld and console market, they're going to need a lot more variety in their titles. So the next few months is really going to, it's really going to be do or die for them.
Well, it's not only the next few months. I mean, because they've got a pretty healthy lineup going. But I mean, like next year, I think the only thing there's like only like 2 Nintendo games confirmed. I'm obviously not the third party, but as far as Nintendo, but it's the what am I trying to say? Like this year they've put out a ton of exclusives.
Right.
And next year, next year they have
It's probably going to be a lot more third party and fewer exclusives.
yeah, and here the thing is though is like because I mean these studios that made like Mario Odyssey, that made Breath of the Wild, they can't make another game and get it out in 2018. So
Right. Not another game like those. Yeah.
So I mean what makes it troubling or what's going to be the really telltale of Nintendo is, are they going to get enough third-party support to make the Switch a viable platform a year and a half from now? Whenever their first party is still trying to work on their next games.
I hope.
Yeah, me too. I mean, if
there's certainly the support because there were plenty of games that came out on Vita, good games. So, I mean, there's lots of studios out there that want to make games for mobile, more powerful mobile platforms.
I'm still sad they killed off the Vita.
Me too.
It all depends
still games
really
releasing for it though.
I mean, it all depends on like Nintendo and what they allow and what they don't allow as far as like, and I don't know their what's it called, what their criteria is. Like you know how Microsoft has the minimum purchase requirement or whatever.
Right.
I don't know if Nintendo has any weird requirements for their games and what like will keep a third party from developing on there. So it kind of, I don't know. I mean, it really just depends on Nintendo and what they're capable of doing. I mean, it's good to see like Doom and Wolfenstein going to launch on there.
I'm surprised by that.
How well those will do on there I mean, I don't know that. Like to me, that's really going to be like the telltale thing of if third parties will be willing to like create a dumbed down version for the Switch. Because if Doom and Wolfenstein do like shit, I don't see a lot of third party companies putting the time and effort into creating a scaled down version to put on the Switch just to sell like shit. So I mean, it really is like the Switch or the Doom and Wolfenstein is really a big telltale for Nintendo and how much big third party support they get, like with the big games. I hope it does.
Yep.
I was surprised when I saw Doom and Wolfenstein 2 coming out. I was like, oh shit, they're great. Awesome.
Yeah, maybe Nintendo's actually opened its mind and is willing to allow third parties to at least create
mature rated
the mature rated games for the console.
Yeah.
Something's got to give with them, though. I mean, if they want to stay in the race.
Hopefully, Doom does well, because from what I understand, that game is I think it's got to run at 30 FPS, and people are like picky with that.
Well,
I don't think that.
I mean,
honestly, don't think that there's as many people picky with the 30 FPS as what there is people that bitch about it.
Yeah.
Well, especially ones that own the Switch.
Like,
I mean,
I'm not.
I think that
frame rate myself.
I mean, the people that are really picky about the frame rate are the ones that are on PC, and they don't really venture out past the PC because most of the titles on the consoles and even the handhelds for sure can't perform to that level. Their level that they deem as the breaking point. So I mean, and the ones that are on Twitter, the console guys on Twitter bitching about every game needs to be 60 FPS, but then turns around and buys a 30 FPS game, is like, oh, you're just full of shit. You're just talking because like you want to talk.
Yeah, I'm not picky myself. To me, like even on PC, I'm more of a visuals whore. Like I would prefer I prefer max setting visuals. So long as my games run at 30 at least, I'll be happy.
But what about the story and gameplay and shit? I mean,
man, fucking peasants.
I like me
under 100, and I'm furious.
I could give a shit less if I hop on PC and it's like the visual masterpiece or the smoothest fucking frames per second. What matters to me is like the game, like what Shaner just said, the gameplay and the story. Like
I was talking between visuals and frame rate. Obviously, gameplay.
Well, yeah, I
is
mean, you can
important.
give me a game that runs at 1,000 frames per second, and if it has a shit story, like I could give a shit less how many frames per second it runs at.
Not playing that.
Real life is proof that gameplay matters more than visuals.
And we only see 30 frames a second, so 60 is a lie, or however that goes.
I don't ever get into.
How does that shit go again?
I don't ever get into that topic because
it's so stupid. I forgot how it goes.
30
Oh,
FPS
did you hear
more
that?
cinematic.
Shane, you might like this.
Our eyes.
And Brim, if you're there, if you're still here, you'll
not.
Brim had to go to bed for.
Oh, okay. Well, you might actually like this if you haven't seen it. But the Xbox One X is going to be able to run native on a 1440p monitor, and with the FreeSync there, like once they get the FreeSync to work properly with HDMI as a standard. Because right now, of course, DisplayPort's the standard. So
yeah,
but
HDMI 3, I think, can handle the bandwidth that FreeSync needs. So it is possible on anything that's got, I think it's HDMI 3.0 or higher or whatever it is.
Well, I think that but they said that the Xbox One X hooking it up to a 1440p monitor will run at native 1440p.
Right on.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I mean that's actually
cool. And with
that's actually a pretty cool
that'll
thing.
be tits.
Yeah, if they get once they get the FreeSync 2 running through HDMI, being the standard to where it basically will do the same thing as the DisplayPort, it'll be because you'll be able to run your Xbox One X games up to like 144 frames per second.
Nope.
Damn.
And oh man, you have no idea. FreeSync and G-Sync, like you don't know until you've played it. Because I mean, I hate tearing. I will do anything. Like when I played Call of Duty 4 and my PC wasn't all that great before I got my 290X, I had to cap that thing at like 42 frames per second because that was the highest stable frame rate that I could do that wouldn't tear. And I had to lock it at that, and that's what I played it at just to get rid of tearing. And man, when you've got a nice FreeSync monitor, oof, there is no tearing whatsoever, and it doesn't matter if you're doing 40 to 60 frames a second or 90 to 140 frames per second. As long as your eyes can't tell the difference in the speed, which I happen, my eyes are really good, so I like, above 100. But if you're cool with like 30 frames a second, as long as it's stable, like FreeSync with anything above 40 will just be beautiful. Because the
I don't really
movement,
notice. I don't notice
really
the tearing.
is a lot smoother.
I don't notice the tearing in games unless.
It's less of a problem on consoles
Unless it's like
because it's more locked to the 30.
Yeah, I mean, unless it's a really big noticeable thing, but I mean, like Digital Foundry would do comparison videos between the PS4 version and the Xbox One version, and it would be like the Xbox One version would be like 30, like they'd both be at 30, but then the frame pacing is where the tearing is.
Yeah.
But like that one on the Xbox One version would be like all over the place where in their side by side, like there would be like the red, cut tearing at the top or whatever. But I mean, I've played those exact same games on my Xbox One, and I've never noticed that tearing at the top. So I don't know what it is like whenever you do the side by side where you'll see it. But like if you're doing it, just playing it by yourself,
it depends on personal preference too, because some people tearing doesn't bother them.
Now, if it's noticeable, then definitely it's going to bother me.
Yeah, and it depends a lot on the game. Like some games, the tearing is so subtle that even I can barely notice it. And some games, it's so out there that if I don't turn VSync on, or now I just use the FreeSync. But before it was like, oh my God, there's like a big line down the middle of my screen, and it's there every other frame or whatever it is,
Yeah, I mean, unless it's like super noticeable, I never have even.
But the variable frame rate, like whoever thought of that, they were genius, because that is a lot better way to have a computer or a whatever it is, anything that's not a locked frame rate like a TV tuner or a cable TV or whatever. anything that has a variable frame rate, it's so much better because the movement feels smoother because you won't get like multiple frames of the same thing and then 3 or 4 frames that are all different and then another 2 frames that are the same. When it just puts out what it holds every frame until the next frame comes, just it looks so much better, just a lot more natural.
I hate tearing. I don't like it when a game doesn't have VSync. There's like a couple of games. I can't name it. I forgot. They didn't have VSync. I'm like, why? God damn it!
Bethesda's always done it weird.
I had to deal with the fucking tearing.
Bethesda games usually lock to 30 or 60 frames anyway because the engine runs on time and they use the frame count for time, and so their options for VSync are a lot limited even back in the day. It would be because like you couldn't say lock it to 40 easily like I would with Call of Duty. So if at 60 or whatever your computer could do, if it wasn't tear free, it was a nightmare trying to get to override those lockouts and pull some tricks and get it to not do the things that it did. Oh man, I remember Oblivion was just a nightmare. You had to go into some config files and overwrite some stuff, and that would fix the locked 60, so I could lock it at say 40, but then you would get a severe input lag with your mouse and keyboard because you disrupted the VSync. So you had to patch the game with this little tiny patch that somebody came up with, thank God, because otherwise I wouldn't have been able to play it with the input lag. It was like a half a second between when you would like take your finger off the key and when your guy would stop moving. It was horrible. So
I thought Skyrim had it. I guess I didn't.
Skyrim, they're still locked to 60 with Skyrim, but it was better implementation than before.
Later, Cyrus.
The PlayStation Plus games were announced.
Oh yeah.
They're not the greatest, but I mean, to me, I'd rather them do this than the AAA games, simply because I buy all the AAA games, so then I end up owning everything they're giving away. But they're giving away Worms Battlegrounds, an indie game called Bound. It's more of a visual artsy game, and of course, you get some Vita game that's crossed by with the PS4. But the cool thing is that starting November 7th till January 2nd, PSVR owners can download Until Dawn Rush of Blood for free.
Oh yeah, their new mobile deal,
Huh?
That's the new way to play, right? That they revealed.
Oh no, this is the Until Dawn Rush of Blood is the PSVR game.
Oh, okay.
So you're able to do that. But no, you're thinking of PlayLink.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you get to download That's You, and that's from the PlayLink thing. But the PSVR, I'm more excited about being able to download the free PSVR titles. I hope they continue doing this every 3 months or every 2 months or whatever, because that's cool to get free PSVR games too.
There's not a whole lot of VR games out, so
there's well over 100 titles on PS4.
Sure, but I'm sure a lot of them are smaller and stuff like that.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Getting a bunch free, getting a good, selection out there and into people's hands so they can play it and talk about it and, hype it up, because VR is still new,
Yeah, I don't know if PlayStation's considering PSVR its own platform, or if they're just considering it a add-on.
Yeah, what was their version of the Kinect?
The PlayStation Eye. But
yeah,
if they ever phase out PlayStation 3 completely, then I'd like for them to actually like instead of like offering us PlayStation 3 titles or PlayStation Vita titles, to throw in PlayStation VR titles. Like take away the Vita titles from the PlayStation Plus offerings and give us like 2 PlayStation VR titles, whether they be small ones or big ones. Who cares? But a lot, letting us build up our PSVR library would be pretty cool too.
Yeah. I mean, I never got PS Plus on my Vita, so it never mattered to me.
I had Plus.
You couldn't keep the free games you got permanently. You could
No.
keep the sale games, which was cool, and I really considered it for a long time because it was only like $5 a month. Way back in the day, I believe, for Vita.
It still only is $5 a month.
Oh, okay, yeah. Or it might have been even cheaper than that. I'm not sure, but
Yeah,
whatever it was, there was
a 50 a year.
and every month there was like at least 1 or 2 games that I really liked that would be on sale for it was enough of a margin to make me consider, but ultimately it wasn't hefty enough. It would usually be like $8 off of a $30 game or $5 off of a $15 game, and it just wasn't enough. I didn't want those games enough to warrant paying for the thing. But I mean, it would have been a good deal for if I had more money. If I had more money and
PlayStation Plus
and been a little less picky, I mean, I would have picked up a ton of titles. A lot of games that were too expensive normally, but when they were only $6 instead of 10 or whatever it was, like it's a lot easier you can get 2 of them, say, for the same price. And if they disappoint, then it's not as hard of a hit,
Yeah, I've let my Xbox Live Gold lapse, but like I couldn't imagine being without my PlayStation Plus. And it's not, I don't even like. What's weird is I don't even play online that much, but I just enjoy the free games getting added every month. And this month it's kind of weird because I had bought Bound before during a sale. And Worms Battleground I had from I don't even remember how the hell I got that one. So I mean, I already own the 2 main titles that are coming out.
Yeah.
But I mean, being able to get the VR game free and then that PS Vita game that has a cross-buy.
Which one is it?
I forgot the name of it. Let me look on my article that I did.
I wonder if I have it. Man, some of their if the Vita wasn't so expensive when it launched, and the nonsense with the memory cards.
He called it a Vita.
Like-
That's what I used to call it.
They
Pita
fucked
Pocket, yeah, Vita.
They fucked it up with the memory card.
Yeah, they did.
Jesus Christ.
And I even bought GameStop had them when I was considering ordering them from Japan.
It's
So I just
called
bought it at GameStop, but it was $100 for a 64 gig.
Yeah,
it's called Dungeon Punks.
Dungeon Punks. Okay, no, I do not have that one.
It is
There's
a fast-paced action RPG beat 'em up with a
There's a
unique
bunch
tag
of those on Vita, yeah.
team fighting system with local player versus player brawl mode.
Because there's probably 10, I'd say, Vita only titles that I'd almost put into the must-play category of how good they are. And it's a shame that they didn't get more of an audience, say.
I mean, I think PlayStation screwed up with that because they were demanding certain games be released for it, and they were very, I guess, persistent with it, and it ended up causing shit games.
And they were really stingy with their previous game libraries because there were a ton of games that people knew you could get them to work on a on a PSP with the PS1 emulator, but they didn't have them on the Sony digital store, so you couldn't legally buy them or play them on the Vita. And there's probably 10 games I would have bought if they had brought them back, and they didn't do it for whatever reason.
I don't know why Sony doesn't at least try release the rest of the PS1 library.
They really should, because there's some great games in there that there's timeless games from the PS1 and PS2.
Because I mainly use my Vita as basically a PS1 emulator
Yeah.
Basically. But yeah, like there's some games I missed out on.
Like
For
they
some
didn't have
reason-
Mega
for
Man
some-
Legends
and
for the
some
longest
reason-
time.
And for some reason, there are some games missing on the Vita. You know, like the Metal Gear Solid is not on the Vita. You can download on the PS3, but not on the Vita. I'm like, Sony, what are you doing?
Well, because the Vita was the handheld, and it couldn't handle some of the games that were on the PS3.
Well, that's
That would be the reason why it's missing. Like for
the PS1 games. I was talking about PS1 games.
well, I know, but you just said Metal Gear Solid 3, which
No, the original Metal Gear Solid. This is how I was saying. You know,
I know, but
can
you just said Metal Gear Solid 3.
No. You could download it on the PS3. You could
I
download
could have
the
swore I heard him say
original.
Metal Gear Solid 3 on the PS3.
No,
No, I
the
was
original Metal
saying-
Gear Solid on the
Yeah.
PS3 as
Yeah.
as a PS1 game, but you couldn't on.
Well,
There was a version of it, but you couldn't. Yeah, you couldn't download the original.
You can get VR missions, but not
Right,
but
and you could
not-
get the
not
remastered
movie
edition,
games.
which I believe contained one.
The Metal Gear Solid Legacy on the PS3.
There was the remastered edition on the Vita,
for-
which
for
came
two,
with,
for 2 and 3. Yeah, I have.
but it came with one too, didn't it? Or VR missions
no,
and
it had it came with the original Metal Gear titles from the PSX at Japan. Yeah, Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake. The original Metal Gear games.
no, there was a remastered collection for $40, and it came with 2 remastered, 3 remastered, a whole bunch of VR missions. I believe them remastered as well, and I think it came with a copy of 1 as well, or maybe it was just the VR missions for 1, or something like that, for like $30 or something. And I was never a big fan of Metal Gear. My brother was, and I was almost trying to get him to get a Vita just for like that and Dissidia, but
I don't know about the Vita. I only know of the Legacy collection for the PS3, which was $60, I believe.
yeah, this one wasn't 60. I think it was
Yeah.
40 at launch, and it dropped to 30 after like a few
And
months.
The only remastered games I know of is 2 and 3, and that was it. For some reason, not Snake Eater. I don't know why Snake Eater wasn't part of that. I found that strange. And Metal Gear Solid 3, it's a special edition. It came with the original 2 games from the 80s. But not Metal Gear Solid 1 or VR missions. So that's all I know.
Still there, Shane?
Yeah,
Okay. You haven't said anything in a while, so.
I was just listening to you guys.
Well, speaking of remastered, Shadow of the Colossus coming.
Yeah, I heard
February.
about that.
Yeah, I cannot wait for that one. I never got to play it on the PS2 or PS3, and I'm definitely going to pick it up for the PS4.
They say it's a masterpiece. I
Yeah,
never
yeah.
got
Yeah.
to play it.
I played the original on the PS2. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, which is interesting because I got to play a lot. Like I played a whole bunch of like PS1 classics, stuff like that. But I mean, I got a good gamut of like Prince of Persia and a bunch of of the lesser known titles. Like this should have been one that I picked up way back in the day, but I never got to. I should probably try to get a copy of it for my PS2.
Yeah. It's at the time. Some people disagree, but at the time, to me, it was one of the best looking games too. One of the best looking games on the PS2. Can't wait to see how it look on the PS4. They say they build it from the ground up, so really interested to see how it looks.
Yeah.
And the music is boss. The soundtrack is awesome. It really gets you into the boss fights.
I hope they don't ruin the music because sometimes that happens with remasters.
Oh yeah, no, I hope basically the only thing you do is like increase the quality of the audio. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, that'd be great. I mean, Halo Anniversary, the remaster soundtrack was good. You know, I didn't have complaints. You know,
That's the thing. I don't buy too many remastered games. But like I especially noticed it on like the worst one was Dead Zone, Dragon Ball Z Dead Zone. I bought the remastered version in a pack with a couple others, and I had seen that they had changed the soundtrack between that one and the original one, and man, it was just so much worse.
I haven't seen I didn't know it was a remaster of Dead Zone.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not. I mean, I don't think the whole thing was remastered, but for sure the audio was. And they've done that with a few video games. Like I've noticed, like some Mega Mans or something, when they remaster them, they'll change the music a little bit. Sometimes better, sometimes worse.
Phantom
you
Breaker,
know,
Phantom Breaker Battlegrounds on the PS4. You know, is a remaster version, and they also added a couple of things too. The soundtrack is basically the same, just a little better in my opinion. I don't know if you played it. It's a fun beat 'em up.
no, I haven't.
It's a fun beat 'em up. It's on Steam, but for some reason the Steam version doesn't have the what the PS4 has. PS4 is called Phantom Breaker Battlegrounds Overdrive, which has a new like what's it called, new power skill or some shit, and a remastered soundtrack. But a PC version doesn't have that. I don't get it. You figured, right? No,
Yeah.
the PC, hell no.
Yeah, you would think they would.
The PC version actually, when it was missing multiplayer for a while. You know, it originally came out on the Xbox 360, and you know, you can play online with that. On the PC version, they didn't. It only had local co-op, not online. I was like, what?
Man, that's ancient.
And they didn't fix that for months. They did not fix that for months, and everyone was, of course, you know, angry about it. And well, yeah, understandable. It's like, how's it that this version has online but not this version? And they finally added online. I'm like, took them, but you know, finally. Jesus Christ! It's also on the Vita. I think at a reasonable price now. I didn't get the Vita and the PS4 version when they first came out because they were like $30 to $40. I'm like, nah, I'll wait.
Fairly pricey.
I'll wait, and you know, they drop.
That was my biggest gripe with the Vita. Other than, I mean, I could have forgiven the price of the console itself because it was powerful in its day, and I could even, if they had kept up with SD card technology and reasonably kept up with the price, I could have even forgiven the SD card thing. But the prices of the digital games, like, that just really killed me.
Yeah.
I mean, there were several PS1 titles going for $60, and probably dozens, if not hundreds, that were 40 or 30, and a whole bunch of PS1 and PSP and other like really tiny games that were, you know, 15 or 20 bucks when they should have been $2. And yeah, it's like they really overcharged on a lot of their games, and that was probably what killed their market the most.
I don't know why PS1 games are still at its current price. You know, I think.
I know, why is any one of them more than like $5?
Yeah, I don't get that. You know, most.
I mean, maybe the Final Fantasies or, you know, some games like that I could see being like 10 or something. But yeah, they're PS1 games.
Metal Gear Solid was $10. which I thought is reasonable, I guess, given the game. But yeah, Nintendo too. Some of the Super Nintendo games, N64 games. I don't know why most of the NES games. Like I don't know why NES games are more than $2. There's some like four. Like $2 would have been more reasonable price for NES games.
And
34
4?
games. The NES games.
No, but you said they're selling them for 4?
Like $4.
Okay, but wait, they're selling them for around $4?
Around there. Which
And wait, I'm trying to wrap my mind around that. If it was $2 cheaper, it'd been a whole lot better. Like it's just $2. Like you're talking about a stick of gum.
I meant at most.
I was like going like if that's going to make or break you, maybe you're picking the wrong
No,
option.
I don't. Nah, whatever.
Like I was gonna pick that up, but by God, that thing
I'm
is
not picking
59
it.
cents too fucking much, man.
I'm not.
Hey man, that's
taking
two less Tootsie Rolls these days.
Yeah, somebody told me like they were gonna like the Breath of the Wild or not the Breath of the Wild, but the Horizon Zero Dawn is on sale this week for $27.99, and the DLC is on sale for $11.99 or $14.99.
I'm so
And
looking forward to that one.
He was like, "Well, I'm just waiting for the complete version." So I'm like, I started going because I know we have PS Plus, and those were the PS Plus prices. So I was adding them. I was like $27.99 and $14.99. You're looking at like $40, and
it's
you're
technically the complete version.
And I was like, you're gonna wait till the complete version comes out so you can pay $60? Like what? Like the only thing the complete version is gonna do is get you one code that has both things. Like, but why wouldn't you just buy them both separate when it's cheap? It's $10 cheaper.
Yeah.
Because that makes too much sense, Rambo.
Yeah.
I'm weird with price. No, I'm not.
Yeah, whenever you're bitching about a $4 price, you're saying if it was $2, it'd be different. Like,
I'm not.
Like, Jesus.
I'm not super consistent. So yeah, don't take me seriously.
I'm just like, if it's like up there to buy, I'll buy it.
Yeah, well, you'll buy anything, Rambo.
Pretty much.
You'll like this though. I made a fairly harsh comment on that stupid PC Gamer article about Blizzard's failure to curb toxicity in Overwatch.
Did you get banned?
They actually approved it.
Oh, I got banned from there for making a comment.
Yeah, they approved it, and I got 3 likes. I can't believe it. As soon as I put it up, it said, this comment is being held by review for moderator, and I'm like, oh, dude, that's not gonna end well.
That's too funny. Oh my god.
I can't believe they let it through.
That's too funny. Christ. Speaking of Horizon, really looking forward to that DLC.
Oh yeah, me too.
Comes out November
7th.
Oh, 7. All right.
Yeah, the same day the X comes out.
5 days, not even a week.
Yeah, Tuesday.
Sweet. Oh, there goes Rambo.
Damn. I guess his shit
I mean,
dropped or something.
Well, he did say he was charging it, but.
Well, I mean, guys, it has been over 3 hours. Did you guys?
I was gonna say it is getting kind of late.
Yeah, 3:46 in the morning.
Yeah, we can go jump in the other server and just keep talking, but yeah.
No, I'm going to bed at 3:46 in the morning.
Later.
All right, guys.
Well, so
thanks for tuning in. I don't have a snarky ass comment to end it on, but make sure you sub to this channel and like the video. And thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one on Friday.